Welcome to the Late Night with Chalky podcast.
All right, here we go. I'll do an intro and then he does your intro. Okay. You ready? Yeah. Lord?
Ready.
Okay. Friends and family, brothers and sisters, welcome to the Late Night with Chalky podcast.
Woo! Guest this week has over 3 decades of experience working for brands like Arnette, Billabong, and Fox. Woo! From sales and marketing to events to producing, he led the charge of it all. Marketing, direction, films, budgets, contracts, which he built a legendary surf, skate, and snow rosters for all these brands. Huge. This guy has been working with some of the biggest athletes in our industry and was executive producer of Surf Madness and Andy Irons' Kissed by God. Seriously?
Yeah. Good little ones.
Movie was sick.
He is co-founder of Caddis Eye Wear. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
All right. And we're excited to hear more about this Pepperdine University graduate and what he has to say. We welcome Enich Eenz.
Eenz.
Yeah, Eenz.
Say it.
Eenz.
E-E-N-Z. Harris.
Right on, guys.
Dude.
Thanks for having me. Like,
Good.
you guys did your homework. I like it.
You know, how do you get into Pepperdine, you smart feller?
I actually got lucky. I groveled my way in there. I actually ran in high school.
You're a
not
runner.
because I wanted to, because I was good at it.
Yeah.
Like, I was running faster times in PE class than the varsity team was. In my high tops
was your
and
nick.
in board shorts, and they're like, "You gotta run across country." I'm like, I just on the surf team, San Clemente. I didn't want to run. But I was good enough, so then I
like track, like 100 meter or long
I ended up doing
cross
both
country.
because I was fast. So cross country you started with, and then of course you're running cross country. The coaches make you run track. So I was doing both.
Rad.
And I kind of knew at an inkling that I'm kind of good enough. I maybe can get in college with this. So
Dude, that's epic,
how
though.
I ended up.
What a pleasant surprise.
Did your parents give you that edge or
No,
like school counselors?
I actually got declined for Pepperdine. My brother got in and I got declined. And then I went and talked to the cross country coach and he did the little like, hey, this kid can run. Let's let him in. So
I mean,
it worked out for me.
Because it's all times, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it is. So I mean, I was really best. I got best with 800. I was doing like 158, 800s. You know, like under sub 200, sub 2 minutes. So.
fuck.
Yeah, but I got into school and then I was there 2 years and then I'm like, I gotta go semester abroad, I'm done. It got me in. It did exactly what I wanted to. It got me to Pepperdine, which
That's
I was
great.
stoked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go somewhere where I could still surf, so.
Nice.
And it was in San Diego, Santa Barbara. I'm like, I want to go
Somewhere to
mountain.
surf.
Yeah.
Well, let's start the beginning.
Well,
Where did it all happen?
Oh,
Where'd you find surfing?
I got lucky. I moved to San Clemente in 1983. And imagine, landing there in 1983. It's like Jimmy Hogan and Dino and Dino.
McNulty bros.
Archie, McNulty's, like the Vashons, the Fletchers. Like,
Paskowitz.
I mean, you couldn't have landed in a better city on the coast.
So deep,
as a
I don't know,
11-year-old Grom.
pretty gnarly.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. There's a lot, but I mean, San Clemente, like.
No, for sure.
Where were you
It
from
is-
before?
I grew up in Thousand Oaks. And
Oh, shit.
When I moved down San Clemente when I was 11, so 5th grade. I moved
What
down there.
Amazing opportunity and move.
Thank God.
Yeah, your parents were like, we're moving to San Clemente. You're like, damn, no, what?
No, you are at that age. You're so like in your kids, like your friend zone that you're really gonna uproot me and take me away, and it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me.
Did you surf prior to moving to San Clemente?
I hung out. Not really. I was like, of course, you're Thousand Oaks. You're straight over here from Malibu, so you're Zuma. Like all my early memories of the beach were Zuma. So of course, boogie board and Zuma and whatnot. But you're living in Thousand Oaks. You're not a daily surf rat.
Yeah,
like
weekend warrior.
Yeah, you're getting
lucky.
over there with the mom's taking you a little bug, through Canaan over the hill, and it was cool. I remember Zuma. Those are my first beach memories, but I didn't surf yet then.
Were you skateboarding or?
No, I mean, you grew up in Thousand Oaks, you're like playing soccer and,
Yeah.
You're
not
running.
much.
Suburbia.
Yeah, you're kind of like, and I was so lucky. 83 landed in San Clemente. It was like the best time to be there.
Yeah. What a change of culture, right?
Oh, I mean, it was just straight night and day. I mean, you go from Jockland to like, there was no choice. Like, there was no choice in the matter. You show up in San Clemente. I lived in Shore Cliff, so like Pochi was right at my doorstep. And,
oh, wow.
And started, and that's where, Christian and Nathan, their grandparents there, the Hoffmans are right there.
But you
Is that Beach Road, right?
Yeah, Beach Road.
I
mean, I was walkable. Literally, just grab my board and walk straight down to Pochi. Like,
So you moved to San Clemente. Is it Capistrano or San Clemente?
It's San Clemente. Like Shore Cliffs is San Clemente. Shore Cliffs is that little community that sits right above Pochi.
Okay.
But you would have probably fallen into surfing? Because there's a lot of
Eventually.
we have interviewed quite a few people
Yeah.
that were from the valley.
Yeah.
And
I could have got lucky, but I got really lucky.
but
really.
it went from like a maybe to a guarantee.
It went to a guarantee. There was no choice. I met my best friend Ethan and his sister Miley, and they surfed, and it was like we were at the beach.
Yeah.
We would every day practice down there. You know.
Yeah.
I actually started boogie boarding.
You surf you don't surf. You know, around everybody.
Yeah, there's a classic story about how I started surfing. Though I tried to start surfing. I kind of got hurt in the beginning. I was a Grom, so I started boogie boarding a little bit, and then one day my brother and sister both surfed, and we saw Nathan on the beach, and he was like literally like I was like a head taller than him. He's like, dude, why are you still bodyboarding? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, literally like called me out. I'm like, you're right. And that day walking home, this guy named the Dude, like we just nicknamed the Dude. He literally pulled out 6'6" out of his garage and gave it to me. He's like, you can't bodyboard anymore. Here's your board. And that really set me on my
Nathan
path.
Fletcher.
Yeah. Literally, I swear to this day, I remember.
Is he your age or a little?
He's just a little younger, barely, like not even a year. Like, just, like we're all the exact same age. You know? But back then we were little. This is when he still had his like airbrushed of like his Star Wars figures on his board. That was like
tiny.
Back riding like Stewart airbrush boards, you know, Aztec era, and he's just like, dude, you gotta start surfing, like, because my brother and sister were both surfing. And like,
how much older are your brother and sisters?
They're younger, so they're like,
oh shit,
2 years and 1 year, like,
they're younger than you.
Yeah, we're actually like brothers and sisters, but like we're all like same age. So me and my brother are actually in the same grade, like best friends, you know. And they were already surfing because they grew up in San Clemente. So I showed up there in '83, and we became best friends. And
got it.
That really like that set me on my path.
Yeah. So Nathan Fletcher.
Yeah, because we were all friends. We were all ratting at the beach because his grandparents were there. We were all on Pochi. Pochi back in '83 was like the epicenter of San Clemente in a weird way because all the hot chicks would go to that beach club. And you're talking everybody would come to the like Pochi. Like it was like it's so weird. Yeah, you had the pier, but like everyone would come to Pochi. Like you go through.
That was the meeting grounds.
Yeah.
And the waves were good there.
It was mainly they were coming there because of chicks, you know, for sure. You know, all the hot chicks were hanging out in Pochi, and they were all coming. And the waves, you know, Pochi was like the reef there, and back in the day, like it was fun. And it's definitely changed a lot with sand migration. You know, with the harbor there, and it's totally changed. But it was like there was some great. Still, you know, that reef gets good out there.
Yeah. And then you said the Dude.
The Dude. We nicknamed, this is pre the Big Lebowski. We called him the Dude. Like we didn't know his name. We're like, dude, the Dude. He gave me the board. Like
so
classic. He gave you the board.
Yeah, he gave me a board, a 6'6". I'll never remember. Like a 6'6" just board. And it's like, you gotta start surfing. And it was that was what set me on my path. Like,
You're
it
kidding.
got me off the boogie board and on start surfing. Yeah.
The Dude gave you a 6'6" surfboard. Was it a single fin?
No, it was a thruster. It was a
thruster. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So crazy. It was.
And did you see him like throughout the years? Like, was he
just a little bit? Like, you know, we'd walk past his house every day because that was when we were living up right next to Shore Cliffs. So that's when we lived there. We moved to that house a couple years later, so didn't really see him much after that. We moved over above the golf course, still right there in Shore Cliffs.
That doesn't happen often. Like somebody just gives you a board.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I hope you paid it forward.
No, I 100% always. I mean, that's why I've never seen. I never seen you with boards. Like anytime anyone wants to ride a board or take a board, like.
But you know what I mean? When you're a kid and you're like, man, obviously you're going to progress. You're going to want something a little bit more suited, like size wise and stuff. And then, you know,
how was that board?
It was killer. Yeah, it was just like you know.
Did you progress and learn
good enough to then I bought my first board off Pinkerton, Jim Pinkerton. You remember Jim Pinkerton back in the day? His daughter's killing it right now on the tour. Killing it. But I ended up buying this like turquoise. I remember it this day. Like my first board I stepped up from that was like it was like a turquoise Arsley, like with pink graphics on it. Like this so class.
And we talk about how awesome like those old boards were.
Air sprays.
The logos were all this big. Yeah. The sprays were all dialed.
Yeah.
It was like this bright turquoise with a pink Arsley logo on it. And that was like
my
first like step up board. Like
at that time,
a
lot of dudes that ripped were riding those boards.
Well, Jim was just like writing his little mini pro career that he had. You know, he'd won nationals, and then he was like that. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
A pro at that point.
So. I remember Bellinger rode those boards, right? Mark Bellinger.
Yeah, he might. Yeah.
I forget who else, but I remember seeing our sleigh boards in the mags quite a bit.
Yeah.
In like the Breakout and like the early surfing mags.
No, 100%.
What a trip. So like going back, did you trip out when you moved here and you're like, holy shit, like everyone surfs?
Yeah, no, it just becomes second nature. Like when you're living in Shore Cliffs and you're right there at Pochi, like it's just second nature. You're surfing before school you're surfing,
Yeah.
after school you're surfing. It's just
because
like,
back in Thousand Oaks, right?
Yeah.
Like you're 11 years old. You're not really paying attention to like fashion or like what you're wearing or what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like
no, none of that.
Yeah, your world is your parents, your siblings, and then like if you play like an organized sport, you know, like school. It's like.
But when you go to a surf culture in town, like everything's about surfing, and then everything's about not that everything's about fashion, but you want to look the part, right?
Yeah, Sacramento is everything. I mean, the movie, like
Don't hang out with the stoner surfers. Yeah, you guys hear the parents, like all the riffraff, like they're not that bad.
I mean, we were right away on skating all over town. That was our first mode of transportation. I mean, I remember I was telling Herbie I saw Herbie at Five Summer Stories reunion the other night, and I was telling the story about like, dude, I used to dot my whole board with dots because we would dig in your trash can behind Astrodeck and we would take all the dots because you guys would pop them out. He's like, I used to do that on purpose for a while, but then we threw all this stuff in there, and then we had see people started getting pissed because kids were getting cut because we threw all this stuff, the razor blades and shit, and kids were getting cut up. So we started having to pour lamb and resin shit on it. And I'm like, yeah, we were still digging in there even then. Like, we used to dot, like our whole pad would be all dots because we would dig all the access.
That was your grip tape.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like San Clemente back then. If you just think about all this stuff.
Freebie,
Track Talk was there with G-Dub and, Astrodeck, and just, I mean, that whole culture was so insane.
What was your local break versus like going, like, where did you venture to?
Well, as soon as we got off skateboards out of like elementary school, we get bikes and racks, and then it just kind of opened up everywhere. I mean,
because there's a lot of little nooks and crannies.
Of course, 204 was like our closest that we stopped, but like you kind of get into like your spot, Riviera. Rivies was definitely like our spot. Like we did definitely lowers and cottons and that stuff too, but.
That's a journey still.
Rivies was more like our zone than it was really the pier. Like there was different people that were kind of pier, but like we were a little bit more Rivies. Like I mean, beach activities like and when you go to high school at San Clemente, you get beach activities. So every morning you're at the pier, but then you're running down to T Street. So it was really like T Street and Riviera were like the main spots. We did start the pier too when it was good and the tide was right. Because that's where you had to check in every morning for class. You'd bring a little flashcard down and leave it at the step, so then you run and surf and come back. That's how you checked in. You picked up your card after you surfed.
We had to paddle the pier.
Yeah.
We had to run. We had to do a little calisthenics and run a couple towers, and we had to paddle the pier. And once we came in, then they'd check you off.
You surfed in between, but then you had to do all that too, or
no,
just
right
on
when
the
you
day?
showed up, right before you even started surfing.
We only had to do like run the pier when it was like blown out or flat, or you didn't want to surf. You had to run the pier 4 times.
Well, now we're down there every morning. I don't see anybody do anything. Yeah. Freaking wusses, these little woke.
Yeah. It used to be grindy though. You used to have to surf every day, no matter what. Like, and that was what made it like on days you had nothing to do with, you still had to surf.
Rain or shine.
Yeah, it was on. Yeah.
Only day off was lightning, but that never happens. Every few years.
So that was it. Once we got our bike racks, we were like T Street and Rivies, like that's cool. Pretty much every
cottons.
Day. Yeah, cottons for sure.
Because that's all year round. Like
I still love cottons. Yeah, it's still.
I love cottons.
It's just because it's like everyone's at lowers.
Like it's almost like a beach break with kelp. Like you kind of get your lefts and rights.
It's a little bit more slopey,
but
the crowd's just mellower too. Yeah, this is what the main thing is.
Like, Lyndon, that's why he likes it.
Yeah, the crowd's mellow. Like I think it. It's just fun down there. You're not so froth fest with all the kids and everybody. Yeah, it's ex-pro or pros. Like, so still loving cottons.
So did you kind of experience any kind of localism with the other kids?
No, I got super lucky. I ended up like my whole crew was like. Was all the crew. It was like Jerome Waitman, Sean Florio, Chad Navarro. That was all my grade. Eric Crane moved there in 8th grade. He kind of came in 9th grade. I think he moved into San Clemente. So like, our whole crew was like surf team too, San Clemente. So the whole, I didn't really know. It was just kind of part of. We were all the same crew. We were all, we had such a good our age group was epic. So there wasn't too much. Of course, like Dino when you're a Grom, he was grunting out in the water. Those guys were like a little bit older, so I mean, you definitely knew your spot in the lineup, and when the pros, when Archie and Dino and those guys were out, like you just you were
just whatever way they want.
You're respectful. You're not trying to grum them out. You know, sometimes like
this is when they were like in the magazine.
They were
on
the
TV.
top of their game. Like this is when they were on
PSA
the tour.
Yeah,
they were all
the Bud Tour, right?
Yeah, I mean they were all at that age like were God, you know, they were
Yeah.
gods at that point, and we were just lucky enough to be living in the same hometown as them. You know?
Yeah.
So
I
it was
mean,
wild.
like
How
you
much
said
talent
earlier,
there
Dino
was.
Andino, Shane Beshin,
Archie,
Cruikshank, like Flamenco, like there's
Like we
so
said, McNulty brothers, like
Yeah.
Joe and Terrence, you know, of
Mario.
course, Brian was already on tour or whatnot at that time,
Yeah.
and Jimmy Hogan and all those guys
Yeah.
was a little bit older, you know, and yeah, Mike Parsons, Chris Burke, Big B, Big B was
Burke,
Big B was one of the like him and Chris Morrow, like with some of my
Morrow.
earliest memories of like getting taken with those guys
Yeah.
to like lowers and surfing with them, you know, like
Yeah.
that's some of the stuff as a kid you remember, like.
oh yeah,
These guys are in the mag, but I'm jumping in their car and we're going surfing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're like pinch
it's
yourself.
like a
you're-
rite of passage.
Yeah, you're just like I just went to Lowers for the first time with these guys. Like,
Yeah.
and like you know, it's
even though it's just right down the coast, like same here, like Huntington, go surf Newport is like, wow, like, we're gonna go surf Newport. Oh, wow,
Yeah.
it's like a whole
But-
but it's right there.
But the rite of
crowd.
passage is hanging
The
out with those guys.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're accepting you into their tribe or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
And I was lucky. My best friend was Chad Navarro. So like Chad Navarro at that time was kind of like one of the guys that
Yeah.
a lot of the brands were like touting. Like he
Yeah.
was on Billabong. He was on beach. You know, he was on beach town to Billabong to like you know
yep.
had the board sponsor, had everyone. So you know we were like wingman together. So. He was ripping and winning contests. I was just like, you know, I was surfing, doing okay in contests,
Yeah.
but not like winning contests like he was.
Yeah.
So it was killer, you know, just in the mix with all of that, you know, got to go do walkthroughs with Gomez at Billabong, you know, and fill up a box of clothes, you know,
Yeah.
like that kind of
So-
stuff. As a kid, you're just like, this is as good as it
Did
gets.
you surf contests?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I surfed all the contests. I did NSA, WSA, like, you know, make a final here and there. You know, I was never like the guy winning anything. You know,
Yeah.
you know, but my friends all were. I mean, that was like Don. You know, it was that time with like Donovan and Rob Machado and Bessie. I mean, I remember going to NSA and I had at Creek and my heat was like Slater, Beshin, Hans Hagen. It was like you're just like yeah, I know.
So
it was just
wild.
like dude, every best. You know, you're like oh. So I always knew where I had fun
Yeah.
at surf contests, but you know, it was
Did you
That's
get
it.
sponsored?
yeah, I had sponsors. I had classical ones like offshore when Coleman was running it.
Awesome.
Hot tuna at one point.
You ripped for
Like
hot tuna?
Eenich sunglasses, like just classic stuff. You know.
But dude, how fucking awesome was that?
Oh, it was insane. Like I remember going to a contest that it was at the Rivermouth up in Ventura Rivermouth, and it was massive, dude. Like it got so big, and we were just growing. It was in the Mini division or whatever.
WSA and assistant.
It was the WSA, and it was. I mean, it was big. It was like solid. Like you're just 6 to 8 feet easily,
Yeah.
and as a Grom, you're Mini division. You know, we're
Yeah.
just not even like I made it out the back once, and then I remember just getting smoked and paddling the whole time, and then getting a letter from Coleman in the mail like. Try to use the rip ties next time. Getting a little letter in the mail like, think about this next time. Like,
I remember.
That's kind of cool.
yeah,
I remember
super
a
cool.
contest
Like,
at Ventura Harbor. Like,
Yeah.
it was. You know, when you're a kid, everything's
Yeah.
big, but it was big.
yeah,
That's Craig
Big.
Coleman, right?
yeah, Craig Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy was kind of gnarly, right?
He was super
sure.
gnarly competitor too. Like,
Yeah.
kinda like thinker kind of guy, like Snip, like
Yeah.
Mike Parsons. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot
he's
going
snapping
on
on the
upstairs,
beach
you know?
and like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he ran the Alita store, right? Or didn't he work out at Alita store?
Alita, maybe Team Gear, maybe a handful of other.
Yeah,
Shops and
he definitely
brands.
run the offshore team for a while. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I vividly
I remember
he
that
got
too.
mail, like how cool is that? Like he actually watched my heat and then wrote me a letter. Like, dude, that's so.
That
cool.
is really cool.
Yeah. Like,
Because that's like a form of mentorship that you don't really hear
Mhm.
about
No.
from back then.
no, 100%. Yeah.
What about like your like surf shop hang? Where was your guys?
I rode for Surf City, which was this. Remember the Surf Spot in San Clemente, which was like that was early on. That was a core killer shop. That was Roy Gonzalez
Huh.
and like all those guys running that store. It was like
Where was
Archie rode for the Surf Spot. If you look at old stickers, like you see the Surf Spot on it.
Where was that?
Surf spot.
That was right. You know where Boys and Girls Club is in San Clemente? We were driving up the hill. Oh, just past Timmy Patterson. You know Timmy
Oh,
Patterson's
yeah, yeah,
shop
yeah.
right there?
Yeah.
Just past there, the top of the hill. I don't even know what it is, a dry cleaner now or something, but
Yeah.
it was right at the top of the hill. And it was the Surf Spot, which was a cool shop ever. And then those guys couldn't pull it. So then someone else bought them and they turned it into Surf City. And I ended up riding for them.
Nice.
Brian Bent ran that
Oh,
store.
shit.
Yeah,
Epic.
with another guy, Don. I forget Don's name right now, but he was all time too. And yeah, those guys were sick. They would take us to Mexico and stuff on like Grom trips. Like it was cool. So that was, they went from that to that, and I rode for those guys for a little bit. You know.
Did you ever get a shot in the mag or?
Yeah, more so just like the San Clemente surf team, you know, because we won like 2 of the 4 years we were in San Clemente. So yeah, a lot of that like contest recap or like that stuff.
Yeah.
But, we talk about like how cool high school like surf team is, you know, like we're part of, you know, like a team, which is so unique for surfing. Like it's all individual, but when you get to high school and it's like,
what year were you at the San Clemente High School?
I was there 88 through 91. So.
When were you, Lar?
90, 93, 89.
So you guys didn't compete against each other?
No, maybe.
We had those same
Probably.
years. What you were?
I graduated in 93.
You were HB? Yeah. So yeah, those for you, your later years. Yeah, I was. Well, 91 was early. Yeah. So we were there because I was 91.
Yeah.
So you would have been younger then, actually. Yeah, you would have been what, like freshman, sophomore.
Yeah. Probably.
Who was on your
Did
team?
they beat you, Lar? Or were you
I don't
guys
think so. I think
undefeated?
we were pretty much undefeated.
Oh, really?
Who was on your team? Who was on your team then?
It would have been
Natural
like the
thing.
Deaf and Bob brothers.
Yeah. We definitely served these guys. Like 100%.
And Mark Austin. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, Austin was probably
Mark
there. Yeah.
And I don't know. There's a fucking shitload of good guys, but
Yeah.
like as far as guys that were,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because there was a time where
There was a good rivalry. For
We
sure.
had a good rivalry. It was like
Yeah.
Dana Hills made a really good rivalry. You guys
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Encinitas for a little bit when Rob
Was there,
yeah.
and Taylor. Yeah.
But
So, did you have any aspirations of becoming like a pro surfer or?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a Grom, you know, you're like, that's what Aki's hanging on your wall with pots and like, that's all, you know.
I want to be that guy.
Yeah, 100%. But like, yeah, as you get older, you're kind of like, okay, kind of see. I see what my friends are doing. I see what I'm doing. I think I'm going to go to college and take that route, you know. And I went up to Pepperdine after high school and ended up running the surf team there, doing the college surf team thing.
That's killer.
Which is cool
fun. It was
too,
super
right?
fun. Yeah, like we put Pepperdine on the map for a few years. Me and my brother went there, and there was like Joe Dugan and Jody.
Joe Dugan.
Yeah.
We know Joe Dugan.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, and then Jody was there too. Jody Nelson. She went there before.
She went to Pepperdine?
She went there for a couple years, and then she ended up.
She got knocked up.
She got pregnant. Yeah, and she had her son, which she definitely doesn't regret that. She's got an awesome son.
Shout out to Taylor.
But when she was there, it was sick. We had an awesome chick on the team too. She was super cool. So she went there a couple years when I was there. We had Takuji. You remember Takuji?
Yeah.
He runs the surf team now.
He does now. He's got it to where it's trying to make it Olympic qualifying and actually recruiting, which is cool. Like, you know, with that coming on, like to have second education stuff going on, I think I want to see more colleges start recruiting for surf. You know.
Yeah, they. My daughter, she could have gone there for swimming, you know, but not for polo because they don't have women's. They only have men's polo there, which is weird.
Yeah, that's right. My wife was a swimmer. That's where I met my wife.
Yeah.
At Pepperdine.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got into Pepperdine. You were saying earlier because you ran fast.
Yeah, well, yeah, I got denied. They denied my application, so then I went up and I met with cross country coach, and I'm like, hey, this is how I'm running. This is what I'm doing at high school. Because San Clemente, we were actually good. My junior year, we got 4th in the state, so we actually had a pretty good team. That's because a lot of Division I big schools, so that was cool. So I went and when I got the denial letter, I went and talked to him, and then he went and talked to admin and got me in, which was huge, you know.
Are you pretty studious? You were pretty.
I wasn't trying to get your 4 point. But I wasn't like a lagger either. I was your middle of the road, B+ guy, and not wasn't the straight.
Slide under the radar.
Yeah,
What were you? What was your major?
I went in there as a history major, and then I realized like I thought maybe I'll just be a teacher or something. I went in thinking, and then I halfway through I started working at Arnette between my freshman year and my sophomore year.
What was your first? Was that
So
your first job?
so I basically was home for summer between my freshman and sophomore year of college, and Big B was one of my earliest mentors, and that's who some guys take Groms under the wings, and Chris Burke was one of those guys for me, and he was just always super cool. And those guys started, and I'm like, dude, I need a summer job, get me in there. And I just called him every week, just hounded him kind of style, like Grom style. It's like, hey, I just got a good feeling about this thing, and it ended up getting me in there. I was like the first warehouse Grom, and worked there for that whole summer and set up our first backstock, and was, You know, Arnie had me popping out lenses and Loctiting every glass. He was just like the super designer freak. So
Yeah.
That was your
Make sure there's
introduction
no
to
screws
the...
loose.
it was insane. Like that was just Chris Burke, Craig Lark, and Arnie, and Bruce Beach. And Bruce was on the phone doing sales. Big B was doing marketing, and you know Arnie was designing, and Craig was like the money guy. There was only 4 people. Like I was the 5th employee hired at Arnette.
How rad is that little group though? You know, like
Really insane.
And they all surfed.
Yeah, no, froth. Every lunch break was like everyone
Yeah.
loading, you know, the car. And I think Bruce was driving a Subaru at that time. We were driving a Subaru and driving down and surf. Yeah, every day. It was unreal. Like just such lucky timing, you know.
Yeah.
Like
did you have to
Did
go on
you
a
have a-
cycling tour?
no, eventually. No, we actually were riding mountain bikes. Like that's when mountain bike was kicking in. Like you gotta remember, 91 was such a cool time in the industry. It was like 91, 92 was Volcom started, X Games started.
Yeah.
Like it was just this snowboarding became cool. Like it was like infantry and kind of starting to blow up.
Yeah.
Like skating was starting to come back in vogue, you know. And it was like such a like magical time in the industry. Like
Yeah.
all the stuff that started right around then, you know.
Did you have a job before, like a high school job?
Oh, I did everything, dude.
Yeah?
I
What'd you
mean,
do?
I started delivering paper. I had paper route when I was
Yes.
young, and then bus boy at like that dinner theater down right in front of 204. I was a Grom when they were all older, but I would just ride my bike there every night and a dinner
Just
theater.
busting.
Me and Chad Navarro worked Sonny's forever.
Sonny's, the pizza
Sonny's
place?
Pizza, like bro,
That place is
all the
insane.
super hot waitresses is me and Chad were the bus
that was the
boys.
spot.
And that Monday night, we ran Monday nights like that
Monday Night
pizza.
Football?
The pizza spaghetti night is Monday nights.
Oh,
It's like
wow.
half price spaghetti or whatever, and that place just flared on Monday nights.
Yeah.
So me and Chad worked all through high school. At Sonny's was a pretty good spot.
That was the spot.
Yeah, it was some classic job. Me and
Is
Eric,
it still there?
me and
Still
Eric Green managed Baskin Robbins in San Quentin.
That's another gem though, you know?
Like,
Like,
so many classic jobs like growing up, like just so fun.
yeah, I mean, coming in, getting free scoops out.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I didn't do that, but you know,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
No, same thing. Like, there's a super young owner, and like he's like, "Hey, let's hire all the hot chicks." So like, we just look at the resumes, like, her. Yeah, okay, cool.
I had a buddy.
Did you guys sneak beers?
No, it was
Never snuck beers?
not really at work. You know, we never. I mean, maybe at Sonny's and stuff like
Sonny's?
that.
I
But
would've-
yeah, not.
I would have hijacked a bin of ice cream for sure.
Yeah,
Dude.
I had
no,
a-
the Groms
I had
are
a friend-
definitely. Yeah, all the boys are definitely on.
I had a
on
friend
Flipper.
at you know, Subway had the Killer's cookies, you know, they bake them right there fresh.
Yeah.
He worked there, he snagged me a box, and it's like a 50-pound box. That's so big, and we just have it in the freezer and just
That's so cool.
filled it.
Dude.
Yeah,
Dude,
there was a lot of classic jobs through the years. 100%. That was just
Yeah.
a few that I remember, man.
But
yeah.
the paper route, the OG, like,
Yeah.
I mean, the kids can't relate to that these days.
No, so rad. You had your bags on your BMX bike. With,
Yeah.
You know, 2 bags. And then collecting was always the most classic when you had to go, like, retrieve the money
Hey,
from people. Like,
$4.25
collecting. You're like, where's my $2?
Every kid, I
Yeah.
mean,
I want my
every kid
$2.
should work in the service industry
Oh, 100%.
just so they can
Yeah.
see what kind of
Yeah.
like social network, social like
I mean, it's-
communication.
Yeah, retail or food, you're gonna just have to learn.
How much?
customer service.
Yeah, how much do you learn? Like
Dude, work
the
ethic
humility, the
is
you know what I
it,
mean?
yeah.
Like
it teaches you work ethic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every
Teaches
kid
how to
should have
communicate.
those jobs. 100%. Like socially get along with people that you don't necessarily have. You know, you have to get
Yeah.
along with them. You know, like
Yeah.
it's just real life. Like so all that stuff. Like not having your kids work and go through that. Like you know, it's like a rite of passage. Like you need to do that. Like,
Yeah.
Just for your own social development.
yeah,
You watch people that don't. It kind of robs them of that. You know, and you need to have that. It's important.
Yeah, I've been trying to get my girl to go. My middle guy to go hang out with my Grandpa Tony, who's like a hands-on like Finnish carpenter. I'm like, you need to go pick up some like grandpa skills
yeah.
because that's like stuff
Yeah.
you'll use your entire life.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
That's where I really started. My dad was a contractor for
Okay,
25
so
years.
good.
So I mean, I spent time like hanging beams and like
Yeah.
on the rafters and just my first job actually I had 2 belts with you had to lock tight down all the walls like the nut and washer. So I'd have a gun and I'd just go lock tight down all the different framing.
Tedious,
Yeah.
but you got to see the whole like
No.
process.
Well, you had to
and
wake up
stuff.
at 5 in the morning to be
Yeah.
because when you're a contractor, you're not
Correct.
getting up at 8 or not. You're actually up at 5. You're on the job site by 7, starting to work. And,
Yeah.
you're done by 3. You're rolling cords at 3:30, but you're like those are big days. And
Yeah.
sleep in the car on the way home.
Such brutal manual labor.
That's brutal, manual,
Yeah.
lucrative though.
But it teaches you
Yeah.
work ethic, you know?
Yeah.
And it also like just the social development on the job site, like just like watching my dad interact with everybody, it was
Yeah.
like really a big life skill because he treated everyone the same. Didn't matter who it was. Like, didn't matter if it was this person or that person, like he would
Work
just,
hard, measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just like how he just treated everyone so equal and rad, like, you know,
Yeah.
it taught me a lot in life. Like, just, you know, no one's below you, no matter what job they're doing on the job site. Like, you
True.
know, there's someone else doing the job too, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
It's kind of rad because that art, like you said earlier, the industry was starting to blow up,
Mhm.
and you know, the sunglass category was fairly new. You know, to
It was
our industry,
yeah,
the surf
yeah.
shops. Like back in the day, you didn't have a bunch of brands, and when Arnette came through, it was like the second or third brand that really meant something to
The
our
surf,
industry.
yeah, the surf industry,
Yeah.
like glasses and surf industry. It was a kind of a dusty. They were sitting under the counter getting dusty at that point.
Yeah.
Like, no,
Well,
one
we didn't really have them. You had Oakleys, and that was about it.
Well, you kind of coming out of the 80s where the blades were all hot, you know what I mean?
For
And
sure.
it was like cycling out of that, you know, at that point where like blades weren't the cool thing anymore.
Yeah.
It was
Frog
like
skins
they were
and-
like going in like, you know, but they kind of in that late 80s kind of like went away. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't cool. And
Yeah.
at that point when Arnette started, like sunglasses were kind of dusty on the counter. And
Yeah.
they kind of came in and were a big disruptor. Like definitely like shot adrenaline into that category in such a
Yeah.
big way.
And by then, you were at Pepperdine.
Yeah,
going
so
to
the
school.
Pepperdine. So I was working at Arnette during the summers, like so I'd come back and do something new every. Like first summer I was warehouse
Warehouse.
Grom, and I just set up our first inventory and worked on just getting everything set up in the warehouse for shipping, and then came back the next summer and set up our whole customer service program. Because by the time I came back, we were selling enough that classes were coming back. So I set up our whole process of how we did customer service, which stuck around for way longer than it probably should have.
Yeah.
But and then I'd come back the next summer. I established all of our Midwest repping force and distribution. I
Wow.
did that, and then I graduated and I came in and I came back and I I was West Coast sales manager, like running the whole West Coast all the way from Alaska to Hawaii, everywhere. And
You're
you know,
kidding me.
no, so it was honestly like going to college at Pepperdine. This was like my master's degree, like
For sure.
like real lifestyle. Like I got to basically be on the front lines of watching a company go from zero to what it became, you know.
Huge.
Front lines, and did every job, like so just like there. I mean, like I went on to do so many different roles there, which was so valuable. Like even starting at warehouse Grom, moving into like customer service and really understanding and running that, then moving into, you know, repping forces and establishing and developing territories. And then from there, I came back and we were big enough where, okay, I just took over like the most, like, you know, the West Coast region, which was really important, and did that for a while and had all the repping forces going, running that. And then,
So, when did you start making money there? Like,
I was getting
Like,
paid normal, like, you know, like
normal
I was
wage.
making money. I wasn't an intern when I did that first year. I was just getting paid like, you know, minimum wage.
yeah,
And then, yeah, I don't even remember the evolution of it, but you know, every time I would come back, I would get paid a little bit more and do
Yeah.
something more important.
well, it's kind of neat, right? Because you're sitting there at Pepperdine, going to a really
Yeah.
nice school, right?
Yep.
That has clout to wherever you go. Like your diploma from there will open up doors, right? And
Yeah.
give you a second look.
Yeah, it's funny, like no one's ever asked me still to this day.
Yeah.
Well,
I know
where
it's
you-
sitting in my bedroom, like tucked behind some cabinet over here, but like I've
But
never
you know
hung
what
it in an
you know what I
office,
mean,
like-
though, right?
No, I'm super proud of it, and I was really lucky to have the opportunity, and it was unreal. Like, and then halfway through, like that's when I realized when I was working at Arnette, I'm like, I can't be a history major anymore.
Yeah.
I need to do something valuable to take it to Arnette. So I changed my major to communications, which was public relations and advertising. So that's kind of how I got my background. Like,
So you switched majors.
Junior year, I switched to communications, which was public relations, advertising.
Did you get advice from somebody, or did
No, I just kind of knew. I'm like, I know I'm gonna go work for Arnette when I'm done now.
Yeah.
I'm close enough to see like going
Yeah.
off. I'm still in the mix as much as
Listen,
like, you know.
I've worked all these different
Yeah.
departments. This is kind of where I feel like I could. Succeed.
Every year, like you're back, just
Yeah.
get back as quick as you can,
Yeah.
because like we had really long summers at Pepperdine. Like you go really early and you get out really early. So I had like almost like 4.5, 5 month summers, you know. So
Nice.
I was there a good chunk of the time. All that, you know,
Yeah.
time. It wasn't like I was only there for a couple weeks or a couple months. You know, I was there for a good 4 or 5 months, enough to like.
Now, did you live up there too?
Yeah, I lived
Dorms or
First
Okay.
2 years you have to live in the dorms.
Okay.
Which is killer. I mean,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? Like the mess hall and the library like look directly at that point. Like you just watch it real.
Did you do a lot of surfing?
Yeah, it's funny. I
Up
didn't
there?
surf. I didn't surf point that much. I was kind of like over the. And when you're not in the packing order, you don't know, or you don't want to.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I'm just gonna be. I'm from San Clemente. I know I'm not really belong in the lineup. Like I'm gonna go miss those spots. So I surfed a lot of Zuma, a lot of Zeros, which is right above Magoo. I don't know if you know where Zeros is. It's like super like oceanside, kind of like drive out in the farm fields and nobody, just big open beach breaks. So I surfed there a lot, like really, and Zeros and Radar Towers is what I was talking about actually. That's right above Magoo. Radar Towers is right along the north fence of Point Magoo. And it's a big beach break, like so super reminds me of oceanside.
Like South Juanita.
It's super south winding, as south as you can get, right against
Really
you're
south.
literally paddling against the fence of Magoo, and then surfing that little zone.
But that's a trek from where you are.
Yeah, it wasn't that far because you just got, you're already, it wasn't that far.
40 minutes?
Yeah, Zeros is a fun way too. I'm good foot, so I love the left. So
Yeah.
Zeros is really fun. I surfed there a bunch.
Did any of your on-hand work experience translate to like schoolwork, like helping at schoolwork at all? Like, or is it just kind of whatever the
No, it was
class taught and kind of had to follow direction there?
It was just applying. Like I was trying to apply what I knew I wanted to take to Arnette.
Yeah.
To like my studies and like trying to like I had to do a press kit. So I did the press kit for Arnette. Like
that's
like,
cool.
real
yeah,
life.
you
So
kind
like I was, came out with this killer press kits and they never would have thought of it ever to do one until that. So I brought I probably still have somewhere today. They were super insane. Like,
show up to Arnette, like look what I built for
imagine all the personalities we had at that time. Like, this wasn't like Rob Machado, like even all the other Kevin Jones and like just all the athletes. This is when freestyle moto was happening. So Enich and just that whole time. Like Arnette was first like super multi-sport brand too.
Yeah.
Like where it was doing everything from snowboarding to freestyle moto to mountain biking, surf, skate.
And like looking back at who was there at Arnette, such big personalities.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruce Beach is a big personality. Chris Burke is a big personality. GT is a big personality.
Yeah.
And for you, like I'm trying to imagine like you growing up. You're basically growing up in the Arnette family.
I mean, imagine all those guys as your mentors.
Yeah.
You're just younger where you're coming up and you're bringing your stuff to it, but it's like those guys were really like forging that whole route. But like they're working kind of hand in hand with those guys. And
that's kind of a rad mix of guys that were they supportive? Like, Grom, get your
I mean, we were all, it's like young and dumb, like, it was right place, right time.
Yeah.
And like, just that magnetic energy of all of it, like in that time that it was, and X Games and all of it, like
because you're seeing all the units double and multiply.
Yeah, I mean,
and when we talked with Bruce about it, it's like the Black Dog was pretty much the
Black Dog was first. We had a marble. We called it marble and a black dog. We had blue lenses in them to begin with, and they were giving everybody headaches. So that was my first job in the warehouse. I was popping out all the blue lenses, putting green lenses in them. And then some of the arms are falling off. So Arnie had me Loctiting every single screw down.
Crazy.
That's how I spent my first summer.
But
Twisting.
to think back of how Arnette it fucking.
Yeah,
blew up.
The Raven really, the Black Dog was cool, and it was kind of like our frog skin, want to call it, whatever in the beginning. But really, the Raven is what, like that wrap,
the big side, like.
And that
is that the first one that you could bend?
It wasn't really, because it had wire in the arms, and you could heat mold them. We had heaters and heat molding. Like I spent so much time custom heat molding, and like I still have it with Caddis now. I still have it in my hands, just being a Grom and working with glasses so much. But that first out of pots, I don't know if you remember, it was like that freaking, it was so cool, that shot of him in the Raven to just really like put us on the map.
Yeah.
And then they had like an international team pretty quick too. Like wasn't like Luke Egan and a bunch, didn't they have like guys all over? Like, so it wasn't, they wouldn't just run ads of like the guys we know, like surfing, local California.
No, it was a globally recognized brand. Not quickly, but
No, it was quickly. It was so
Yeah.
fast because just how fast everything. X Games really helped with that too. Just especially on the snowboarding side, like we had Daniel Frank and
Multi-sport.
Ingemar
Oh,
Backman
yeah.
and like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
these like gnarly snowboarders. So yeah, it definitely took it. International distribution had a lot to do with that too, though.
Yeah.
Getting all that stuff. And after I worked through West Coast sales, I went into international and I established all the different countries around the world and go and travel and teach them how to actually sell and do Arnette. So that was after I did West Coast sales, I went on to do international, which was such a cool education on just taking a brand global. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how incredible is that? Like, you can't buy that experience.
No.
You know, because sales isn't rocket science, but to learn it from where you did at such a small to big company,
Yeah.
it's incredible because the network, not only are you learning like the science of sunglass sales, but sales in general, you're also developing the network and you're also developing all the different strategies and tactics. And
I mean, that was the most important thing.
You're just waving the flag pretty much. Like you're just selling, like the brand.
But
Like,
is it
yeah,
like-
you gotta have good
yeah.
good style glasses and trendy stuff, but you're just like you're just being a freaking
Yeah, but those are relationships you got.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's
Like-
the relationships, and it's like, yeah, of course, Big B and Bruce and all those guys were super important. But it really the family was so much bigger than that. Like all the repping for us, like we
Yeah.
had all the Burton reps on the East Coast. I mean,
Yeah.
those guys were just like, Copley and because like insane, like how the whole family,
Well,
and then
yeah.
it went from like repping group US, like everyone there to like boom international, which
Yeah.
was like how important your national distribution guys were, and that's who's bringing those other athletes in.
But
you
like
know?
Bruce was talking about how like they wouldn't do trade shows and they'd save that money for like sales meetings and stuff to like get everybody together and
did you
sell the
partake in those
product.
sales meetings?
Oh yeah, we had the best sales meetings ever. Like
Yeah.
honestly,
Were you in Cabo in the vans?
Yes, in the van. Did they tell you a story about when they threw the food fight and threw the whole mango through my front window and the whole thing exploded?
We just heard
We
the
came
the
with
vans were pretty much gone.
Yeah. Oh no, like they.
Well, the Gaviotis one was the first one, right?
Yeah, Gavious was the first one.
And that's the one that you guys ruined two rental vans.
Just make them disappear.
Yeah, the Cabo one was like the insane one though. Like
Yeah.
we had all the combi vans and like we had the gnarliest food fights every time going out to Cerritos. Like everyone would be hiding in the dunes and like all of a sudden you'd come over the hill and like man, like your whole car would just get blown up. And I had a mango stuck in my front window. Like
A mango?
Whole mango stuck in my front window, whole thing shattered. People had yogurt in their ears and like just like madness. Like we definitely we came limping into Cerritos, literally like white flag, just like destroyed car. We had some really, really good sales meetings.
So you went from warehouse grom to setting up the customer service and then setting up West Coast sales.
Yep. And then I went into international and I started helping Mark Lobrock, 106. He runs Fortress Eyewear, I think, he's still doing that. 106 was his code name. That was his repping name, but he ran international. So I started
Is
working.
that his area
with him.
code?
That was his rep. Every rep had a number.
Oh,
his
yeah, for the
nickname-
company.
Yeah, his
Oh,
name
okay.
became 106.
Okay.
106.
What
That's
about
great.
Tom Winchell? What was his?
I don't remember when. I think he was in the 14s or something. Yeah. Blue, remember Blue? Like Bob. Yeah, there's so many good reps from the day. We had the best. That was part of like the secret sauce. Is like
Yeah.
Kurt Fry. You just
Yeah.
think about all the reps that work for Arnette. Like, there's still so many of my work with this day in the industry. But yeah, so after I did West Coast sales manager stuff, I went on to run international. I worked with 106, and I would develop. I'd go to Scandinavia for a month. I'd do each country. And then I'd go to South Africa and hang with Mike Burness and spend 3 weeks down there, like just setting up and showing them how to sell.
Wow.
Yeah, insane. Like such cool experience. Like
So-
coming right out of college, like straight into like.
So you graduated
international
college
sales and marketing.
and became like
Yeah, I did. Right after college, I went straight into the West Coast sales manager thing, and then
And how many sales reps did you manage?
I was probably I probably had 12 under me. It was like we split the country into thirds, So I had West Coast, all of and then as we grew, it kind of you shrink as you grow because
Yeah.
you have more accounts, more people, doing more volume. So
Yeah.
in the beginning, it was you had Bruce was doing everything, and then we'd slice it off and slice into thirds.
You're making too much money. We're gonna have to break this up.
Well, not only that, just,
just a lot of
internal
workload.
management with the reps and the flow and the
for
amount
sure.
and the volume. Like,
when
just
you're doing
start.
when you're doing like moto and inland accounts and
Yeah.
like the sheer dirt, to cover, and then all the accounts, it's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. So that then when I graduated, I went in and I did West Coast, and I think I actually launched the bike. I did launch the bike market too, because we did the Threat, we did that bike glass, and when I was right when mountain biking, kind of downhill mountain biking became cool, and Palmer was racing, and like all the BMX guys were going downhill. So I ended up spending time launching the bike market for us in that glass, and then right after I did that, I went international sales and marketing. So that was cool. That's how I met my partner Tim, who I do Caddis with. They were disrupting the bike market by doing like cargo. Not all like we're like Arnette. We're not going to be Lycra. Like we're going to do. These guys.
Make it look somewhat cool.
They were doing long sleeve Hawaiians and like cargo. He was doing Swobo back then, and they were like disrupting the bike world. We're like, okay, if we're going to do bike, we're going to do it that way. We're not going to do it like race style.
Yeah.
So that's how we kind of came in the bike market. So I spent time launching that, and then from there I went in and did international for a few years.
Now, was Arnette and Bruce, who are you talking to saying, okay, you're really good at this, we're going to move you into this?
It was just like, when you start a company like that.
Everybody's doing 5 jobs.
You're wearing 10 hats. And as you grow, you kind of get more refined. And, because after I did the international thing, then like marketing needed its help. So I went in, that's where I ended up on my marketing path ultimately is I went into run marketing. They needed someone to run marketing, they just needed some leadership in there and some guidance and someone that could kind of like traffic control in there.
It's interesting to know and learn about that because, when you're like a lot of companies, they start hiring from outside. Like, oh, let's go get this guy. He's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's neat that you moved your way up through the company.
Yeah, no,
right?
I mean, it was, like I said, it was really like getting a master's degree, you know, in such a cool way. It was family. Like they're, it was one of those just magical like chemistry projects that all comes together and you're all kind of on the ride together, like holding, like it's just, your growth is just so exponential, so fast. Like, so fast, went to 0 to 30, like so fast. And back then that was a lot. That's like going to 0 to probably 80 or 100 now, compared to what was back then. 0 to 30 million was like
in any market in any time, it would be crazy now as it was then,
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like I keep saying, you're a warehouse kid, and here you are, West Coast sales manager, and then boom, you start setting up international distribution, and then you know what I mean? Like those are huge jumps and learning and experience and
and they're like 23, 24 years old,
and you're
out
fucking
of college,
that young,
23, 24, and you're like, running international sales, it's crazy. You could not pay to get that kind of experience, it's so lucky to be able to get that kind of experience at that age.
Plus the travel.
The travel,
you're snowboarding the Alps, you're fucking surfing wherever.
It was really the right time though, because like I almost didn't keep my wife through it, like, you know what I mean? Because like here I am right out of school, and she's like, "What? You're going to Scandinavia for a month?" I mean,
did you guys get married
4
pretty
weeks? Like, 24, 27. But this, I was kind of doing international kind of before she kind of like right during that time, and she kind of.
This is what you're marrying into.
She got it. She got his like, that way pretty early on, realizing that like, okay, like travel is going to be part of your job, and international was extreme travel, because when you went to Scandinavia, you spend a week in each country. There's 4 countries. There's a month. I'm leaving. I'm back in a month. And Africa was the same way. Back then, you're fine. Africa, you're going for 3 weeks. At least a month.
And you mentioned
and
Michael Burness
for a few days, at least a week.
Michael Burness is like a fucking legendary.
He's a legend, and that's the thing.
He's
all
a
these
good
people
too.
We were hanging out. It was like we hired within. It was like industry still. Like, so when we went to Europe, it was like Reed Pender and Derek O'Neill. Like, these guys were pro surfers gone into industry. They were already doing Billabong over there. So here we are with Arnette. That's where it's going to land. So everywhere we expanded, it had some tentacle of sports, you know,
Yeah.
sports. Whether it was like we went in Scandinavia with like the snow distributors, you know, or whether we went with like the surf guys in France, or whether we went surf guys in South Africa. Jim Lazaridis did Australia, and that was like that whole, you know, Sydney crew. It's just like all those relationships you create back then. Like they still to this day I work with so many.
crazy.
You're like 23, 24, going abroad, setting up distribution. Like guys like Arnette, Mike Arnette, right?
Nope, Burness, Mike Burness.
Mike Burness, sorry.
Yeah, Burness, yeah.
Like he's older.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying. It's kind of interesting. Like these dudes that are.
It is a little weird, you know, being the Grom and everyone's like,
right.
Oh, but like,
who the fuck is this kid who's 24 years old that's helping me set up my
yeah, but like you're not going in there with any
business.
ego. You're going there like living and breathing the company, and like they're so appreciative. They're like, you know, this is how we do it. Like I wasn't there like going, you know, telling them like just more show them how to do it. You know what I mean? Like here's how you go in. Like you clean your cases. You don't just let them sit there dusty. Like I'd go in there and start working the cases, and they'd be like, "What?" I'm like, "No, let's dust all the glasses, and at the same time you're taking inventory. Like you're wrapping out. Like don't just come there and look at your case and go, is things moving? No, you interact with it. You know? Like you take care of you. They're gonna appreciate you coming in there, taking the time to actually like
understand,
clean your case, do inventory. Like, hey, this is what you sold.
These aren't selling. Let's swap them out. Let's get new stuff, turn and burn. Like like
all that stuff. You know, so
make sure the current POP's in there. Like just stuff that's remedial, but it's so important. Like every little like. All those little steps and all those little things is just 101 business.
But it's pretty impressive, and also, were you ever intimidated, like going to all
No, never intimidated. And I think like I could have gone there and like wrote a report like these guys are like bogging and like lagging, like we should get rid of them. But no, like go show, like we're all in it. Like go show them how to do it. You know, like that's.
And this isn't like stuff going back to your point of like, you know, you're a Grom. Yeah. This wasn't like you learned this from school. Like this is just like you learned it from the boys.
The one who's doing it.
Like in-house, like your team. Like,
well, it's such a new category in a new company. You're creating all these processes too.
Yeah, I mean the international thing was just the next step of doing regional, because I went on the road with every rep in every region, and that's what you did. You went on the rep. Like Joe Jackson, Colorado, I'd go spend a week with him on the road, and then I'd go, you know, hang with Maliki and, you know, David Liu in Hawaii, and, you know, same thing. You just showed them, you know, you showed them how to do it, like, you know. And so like when I came to international, it was like same thing. Instead of being reps, I'm showing distributors how to do it, so they can, you know, multiply it, you know.
So
how hard did you handle Florida too at one point in time?
No, I mean, of course I was super tight with everybody, Dimitri and, you know, everybody over there. Super, you know, great crew in Florida.
Because Florida is like the hardest market to kind of break into. One of them.
Yeah, but you got to remember, like, surf was so
big and strong.
Yeah, I mean, and then just
it's a year or two behind, you know, kind of what sets trends here. But when it hits, it's like a whole another huge market.
But it's definitely a little bit more of a hurdle than other.
Yeah, but when you got like Todd Markham, you know, like those kind of guys, like, you know, that crew that was over that time, you know, it just kind of. It was on fire then, like, you know, like you think about that crew back there, you know, Reineke and...
Well, the big brands like, you know, Quicksilver and Billabong and all that, like, you know, the brands knew how important that East Coast was, and they'd have an East Coast sales manager, East Coast team, like, you know, it had its own little marketing world outside of what America's team was, or, you know...
And it gets back to that relationship thing, like, you know, glasses were an accessory, so it was easy for like a big clothing guy like a Billabong or Quicksilver rep to have an eyewear brand. You know, it wasn't in conflict. So like we got cherry picked a lot of the best reps in the industry, and that's your you know, that's how you walk in the doors. You know, you can't be an outsider coming in and trying to peddle stuff in our industry. You know, it takes the relationships and the years of trust that they built with their accounts, which is, you know, so deserved. You know, and then we get lucky enough to get a good rep. Yeah, you know, that's your key.
Well, the reps for sure. Like, you know, the ones running the business, but I know shops on the East Coast is like, we're not going to carry it unless you sponsor, like, you know what, like our regional guy. And it's sad that it's kind of gone away from that. And we've talked about this a lot. Like, the business models have changed and where like the investments are and whatnot. And it's like, that's so important to the town hero or the state hero or the East Coast hero or whatever, and have that like that
The
layers
shop,
of marketing.
the shop ground is so important, and the fact that we moved away from that, the shop ground is so important. That was part of our life, but like you gotta have your glasses on the kid behind the counter,
Dude,
and a lot
they're
of the
selling the product.
a lot of the sub reps, you know, like
Yeah.
that was their, you know, they're the local guy, and then they become the sub rep. You know, it's like your path into the industry. You know, for athletes, a lot of time are like, okay, I understand the industry, I kind of understand how it works. I was a
paying
team
your dues.
rider
It's
now.
like Lennon said, the humility of like, you know, the reps are busy, like, you know, writing orders and doing this and traveling. The kids, you know, to clean the cases and change out POP. It's like, that's so much work.
Think how many guys you know in the industry now that were shop grounds at one point.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I mean, that's where you start.
That's where we started.
A lot of us,
Yeah.
It's like your kind of lifeblood into like. into it.
I have conversations with my, you know, kids, you know, their buddies' parents and stuff. And they're just like, oh, I love your industry. How did you get in? They're just like amazed. I'm like, I don't know. I was just born into it.
Pay your dues, bitch.
Pay your dues. That's it. You know. Oh, there's many years of not making a lot of money, and
Just sitting around the shop floor watching videos on the TV.
For sure.
The skateboard, you know, and skating in the parking lot for hours.
the
and
best is walking in and these kids have these folding boards for their t-shirts. I'm like, come on now.
Folding board.
Boom!
Yeah.
Folding boards.
I throw it up in the air, dude, and then spin it around.
But you know, it's like, man, you guys, like, you don't need that. I go, it does make a really nice flat shirt, but come on now. It's just, people come in here, like, if it's a busy shop and they just get destroyed. I was at Surfside today, love you, dude. I folded probably 50 shirts in like 5 minutes, you know, because it was like, the section was this trash. I'm like, you know, and it just makes it look, but that's our job part of it, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
But the sunglasses, like, you know, swapping out, cleaning, like, it's a lot of work
It's
too.
time consuming.
Time consuming.
Yeah. So, international, going all the different countries, and then you switched over to marketing.
Yeah, after I did all the national stuff, I went in, like, marketing at that point was exploding, you know, like, yeah.
And when we say marketing, what part of marketing are you focused on?
I originally went in they needed a traffic control cop because it was like all the sport, you know, all the different team managers, all the sports. They kind of needed advertise. You know, I went in to oversee it originally, just traffic, almost project manager style, where like so much stuff was going on. You know, this is when print ads.
Yeah.
And you're still like, you know, you're still real photos and you're just drum scanning your ads and like just the amount of flow and the different magazines we were advertising in and stuff, and just making sure that the flow was happening.
Committed all these different magazines for all these different demographics.
Well, imagine, like, you know, paying the photographers, like, you know, getting the ads, like deadlines and time and everything. So originally I went in there to kind of really just help traffic direct a little bit, just to make sure.
Did you make the switch on your decision? Like that's what you wanted to do, or
it was
did
always
they say,
like,
hey?
I never remember being like, I don't want to do that. I was always like, all right, I'm up for the challenge. It was never like, it was never like that. I at Arnette. It was like you were just down for the cause. Like, okay, what's next? Like, you know,
that's when you learn and you grow so much when you're with a small brand like that, where you're kind of you're watching everybody do their jobs too, so you're picking up a lot versus just like if you got graduated and you just say, hey, I'm in marketing, and then you got already plugged in place. Yeah, and that's like, you know, they would expect you just to follow through for that. Like when you're small and you're watching what the sales guys do, you're watching what design's doing, like you're so much more aware of like the whole.
Yeah, you're just down for the cause, really, you know. And Big B just shoulder tap is like, hey, I need you to come into marketing and just help. Like, we need help, like making sure that we're not missing deadlines and whatnot. Like, you know,
which is your masters, like you said. There's just no way you could put a price on that.
And that marketing part was sick back then. That was like, you know, it was Rick DeVoe and Cote were doing surf, like you know, and then Mike was kind of help. Like it was
Transworld or
no, this was Arnette. Yeah.
Cote worked it?
Yeah, Cote and DeVoe. A lot of people don't know that. They were there in the early days,
I think they mentioned that, right? Yeah. Bruce mentioned that.
Yeah.
And Rick DeVoe is...
And Matt Patterson was there. And Patterson was before them, I think.
Blink's manager and a couple other bands or something.
Rick DeVoe, dude. Yeah, he went on to have amazing... Like, he's still killing the music industry. He's awesome, you know? Yeah.
Matt Patterson was there, too?
Patterson was there, helping Big B. And then... there was... trying to think who else, and then that evolved into Mike Carter. Mike Carter came in to help us surf at one point. That was kind of post those guys. Carter came in, and then me and Carter we kind of split the sports marketing division in half, and I ended up focusing more on skate and snow, and Carter focused a little bit more on surf. And you know, Warped Tour was kind of both of us, and that's when we got the Gonzo bus and we started doing the Gonzo tour. We got that big RV, and me and Carter were in charge of that. We drove that thing nonstop around the country. Went everywhere. We did every Warped Tour. Like we would just go on the Warped Tour with it, and we were part of the Warped Tour. We'd just go. We were doing free haircuts, shaving kids' heads at every event. Like
So wild.
insane. Just giving all the bands glasses. You know, that's why we're on tour to make sure we're dialing all the bands in and just being there, part of the Warped Tour. So
You're everybody's best
Like
friend.
that's all such like grassroots marketing that is so important, and like
beyond, yeah.
you know, when we look back at the things that you know you guys used to do, I mean, getting in the bus in the RV and throwing out high five shakas and promo, that goes a long fucking way.
I mean, the disruption that we caused along the way was insane. Like it taught me everything about like how you look at a category. Like if you're doing what everybody else is doing, then why are you doing it? Like there's no reason to be doing it. Like you need to find your disruption point, you know. And Arnette was that. I mean, we were doing crazy like orange glasses just to do them. The big I remember those
Hotcakes,
big hotcakes, orange like just shit people couldn't get, and silver ravens for the Beastie Boys.
Yeah,
and, like this is like iconic moments, you know. But just disruption is so key. Like, I remember I was at the U.S. Open and I had the freaking winch guys like pull our bus up next to the pipe, like pull the whole bus on snow all the way up there, and then we made a yurt with hot tubs. So when the riders were done, they'd come out and sit in the hot tub with rubber duckies that we screened our logos on. You know, like shit like that. You know, they would just be so fucking out there. You know, so different. You know, so disruption. Arnette was like that big teacher of like.
Yeah, how do we get a logo and product on everybody here, or as many people as we can,
and do it crazier? So you do it crazier than anyone else.
Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
I did that that was towards the tail end of Arnette. I did that probably like late 96, probably 97 and 98 were like those 2 years I really did all the marketing stuff for Arnette. Like ended up really, it was cool because I had skate and snow, so I had like Tony Hawk and you know Bucky Lasek and Willie Santos and you know that crazy OG team back then. It was like X Games was fully flaring at this point. So X Games was, you know, I went to a decade of X Games, but that one was like mad. Like it was just so new and people weren't jaded by it yet. You didn't see it so much. Like moto, you know, backflips. You know, I was doing the backflip in a moto. Like Carey Hart did that. Like all those different X Games. But yeah, for those last, I did that 97, 98, and I ended up leaving Arnette at the very end of 98 to go work for Billabong, right when the switchover happened between Bob and Gordon. I came in as the new regime for Billabong, hired by Paul Nade and Graham and those guys, and that's when Bob took Hurley and went Hurley.
So how did that opportunity arise?
Terry Strump was running, he was helping production at Arnette, and then he left to go to Billabong and be part of the new production team there. And he's like, "Hey, I got your guy." Like, because it's funny, like Hurley when they did their split, they didn't snow. They took all the skaters, and they didn't care about snow. So I got to keep first two signs were like Selaznick and Kevin Jones because at Billabong we got to keep those guys because they didn't want them. But then the whole skate team went, so I had a blank piece of paper for skate because they kept their whole skate team. So that was like my first like, I was doing skate and snow pretty heavily at Arnette at that point, pretty focused around X Games and all that. And so I came in to do that, you know, for Billabong. Like
Terry Strump was the one that
he brought me in and got me the interview with Graham Stapleberg and Nade. Yeah, Paul Nade. So my first meeting was with those two guys, like right on Trilogy. Like we had this little building in Irvine.
What a crazy shake up in the industry that was, because we had friends that were reps. We had, you know, we knew a lot of the shops that were buying the teams, and it was like, I mean, it's just a complete split.
It was a trip.
It was radical. You guys would go live through that and be on that side of the fence, you know, because like I was so friends with that side too, you know. It's like Bob, I love Bob, you know, I love Gomez, you know, like none of it was like personal, but it was so personal because it was gnarly. Like that division and that divide, that divorce was gnarly. And to live through it on the side that was getting shit shoveled on it nonstop because everyone loved Bob, rightfully so. Like Bob's like the greatest guy. Bob created so much opportunity for so many people. Like how can you not love him? But then I got hired by like you consider at that point the dark side of the forest, you know? Like
it was kind of, but they kind of came in with like, hey, we're gonna hire best in class, and I just remember like, you know, Nade and And Graham, they were like, we're going to hire like the best of the best. And they did. They just went and like started pinkling, right? Like everybody that wanted to come.
Yeah. I got hired there really early on. I think I was like number 22 or 23 of the new putting back together.
Yeah.
You know, it was just me and Steve Clark was doing surf. And then I was doing the snow skate thing in the beginning. And then Graham Stapleberg was still working at ASP. And me and Clarky and Graham, we all shared this little office. And when Graham would come in at like 3 o'clock from ASP, I'd unplug my phone cord and stick it in the wall for him. We just had we shared the same phone. We were in this little tiny office
So
off technology over in Irvine, right off
Yeah.
this little tiny building. Like,
Yeah.
and Paul is actually like mastermind Houdini for doing what he was able to do and pull off and not lose any market share. Like
True.
year over year, I mean, to this
Yeah.
day, I don't even know if it can be replicated. Like to go from 80
Both
million,
parties.
both parties.
Both
Actually,
parties.
totally give both parties
Yeah.
huge credit. But the fact that Paul couldn't work with any of the distributors, none of the production guys,
Start from scratch.
start from scratch and
Yeah.
go from 80 to 80, like
Yeah.
in the same year. I mean, the reps had so much to do with it. The fact that the entire repping force stayed,
Yeah.
huge kudos there, because none of the reps really left. Like maybe 1 or 2 left, but pretty much the whole repping force stayed intact. But all the infrastructure,
Yeah.
all the designers, all production people,
Yeah.
all the back end, everyone was brand new. And to pull that off in 1 year, I mean,
crazy.
Give Paul so much
For
credit.
sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was a trip because I remember Paul was gotcha before that.
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
right?
yeah. MT, that whole South Africa, Little Durban of Laguna, like between MT and
Yeah.
Nod and Wilson, and there's a bunch of even South Africans in the back. Graham Stapleberg, like all in the back end, like amazing Garmento guys, like
Yeah.
really understood the industry and
Garmento
And-
surfers.
yeah, Garmento service
Yeah.
for sure. And MT was really the forefather of giving all of them opportunity. He
Yeah.
brought all them over with Gotcha and gave all those guys like their tutelage in the industry and
Yeah.
taught all of them. They all got to learn like Arnette was like firsthand of like this little company that has exploded into something so amazing.
Was it a tough decision for you to leave Arnette?
Dude, my wife still, we talk, like I was on the couch for like a month at least. I did 2 different times in my life. One, leaving Arnette was one, and then leaving Billabong both times. Like I lamented over, because they're family,
Yeah.
like true family. Like
Yeah.
we went to war together and battled, and those are still some of my best friends and some of my best memories in my life.
Yeah.
When you
'Cause
it becomes your, like, you realize like at some point it almost becomes your identity, and it's really hard to separate yourself from
Yeah.
that. And
Well, I mean, you were in high school working for Arnette,
I was in college. I just between my freshman college.
Yeah.
But close enough. Like
Close
right,
enough,
right,
but like
freshman year.
your formidable years,
Yeah, oh yeah,
and you went to the University of Arnette,
100%.
and you learned so many skills and met so many people in that in that time frame.
It was really what set me up to be able to
Yeah,
go to
for the next
Billabong with
move.
my skill sets.
But-
And change is so hard to accept and
Yeah.
wrap your head around.
But
right?
there's also been a lot of change within Arnette over that course you were there
Well,
too.
there was some times that I got a little like when Arnette sold for the first time.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the fence of like who got paid. Like I was like the 5th Beatle. Like everyone got paid down to Bruce Beach when they first sold to Bosch and Long.
Yeah.
And like I was like the 5th Beatle. I remember being so depressed that day. Not because I didn't get paid. It's more so that we sold and we weren't private anymore, and someone bought us. And we couldn't, I just knew something inside a little bit died that day.
Yeah.
And it did. I remember leaving, like, I left, dude. I just left, like, the day that the announcement came out. I literally just left, and I had to go, like, process it. Like, here's our baby, we grew to this, and now, like, someone bought us. Like, I know it's going to change.
relate.
And we all can now. I mean, the whole industry is bought, but, like, when you live it and you grow it, and from its
And you're
infancy,
just at the outskirts of cashing in.
Yeah, I was, but that wasn't even funny enough. Like they were all Bruce and I remember Bruce and what does it feel like being the last guy to get paid? I'm like, oh, we got sold. That's what I'm bummed we're not private anymore. My mom's not our baby anymore. Like
Yeah.
I knew something that day. And then funny enough, when I left in '98 to go to Billabong, 6 months later they got bought again, and I was like, oh, thank God, best move. Like we already got bought again. Like that was exactly when the nucleus split there.
Okay,
That
so
exactly
it was
when
right
that thing-
before the second buy.
Right before,
Wow.
like literally months. It might not even been 6. It might have been 3. And then boom, it came out. I'm like, oh, I remember being so relieved. I'm at Billabong now. I'm like killer. Like,
Did you get a pay raise leaving? Arnette
yeah,
for Billabong?
going to Billabong. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was killer. It was a good step up for me.
Yeah.
I still don't even remember what it was at the time, but like, just
Yeah.
remember, like, it was definitely an evolution. I was going to go work for
But it
Billabong
wasn't
now, and-
a startup brand. It was like it's fucking Billabong.
No, it almost was.
Well,
It
but
felt
with
like a
the new
startup.
crew,
Yeah, with new crew, it did feel like way startup. It was like, okay, new crew, all for one. Everyone was gonna hate on us. Everyone was hating on us. Like, we gotta like head down and just like make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, every move, you don't want it to be a step down, but you want it to be a step up.
Yeah.
And
You don't want lateral moves.
Well, I saw the opportunity in Billabong as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, that was like Aki, like to this day. Like,
Well,
he was on my wall. Like, Billabong was the brand. Like, as a kid, you become a lead.
For
like
sure.
especially as a surf grom, like. That's my brand. Like,
Yeah.
I love all their athletes. That's just my
Everything.
brand. Like, Gordon, the whole story, and the
Yeah.
fact that Gordon was still the one who was gonna go to work for. Like, I'm all in for that. Like, owner, like, he still owns Billabong this day. Like, he, licensing change over, but you know what? The core nucleus of this company is everything I'm about.
Yeah.
It's like Gordon Merchant is. What he's done and what he's built and made himself out of a garage, like,
So
I'm all
epic.
in for that.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really what, that was kind of the deciding factor for me. Like, I'm all in on this rebuild.
how many did you have to jump through hoops? Like, did you have to interview a couple times?
No, it was one time. It was gnarly too. Intimidating Nod in Grant, South Africa.
Yeah.
It was like,
I can just
I remember
imagine
going to the office with those two, and it was just like,
So
like,
This
both-
is how it's gonna be.
yeah,
both
yeah.
Nadi and
Yeah.
Graham.
Yeah, it was just
At the
those
same
two
time.
in the room. Yeah, because Graham was going to be marketing lead, which he was, and then Paul was, new CEO, like gonna run America. So yeah, I went in and interviewed those two guys. It was.
Do you remember any
intimidating for sure.
questions that they asked you?
No, I don't remember any of them, but I remember just it being kind of like Paul was very into,
Yeah.
Very.
so business astute, like I remember being pretty, definitely intimidated
Yeah.
by it, but it went good, yeah.
Because not knowing Paul that intimately, but seeing some interviews with him and some of the moves.
Straight shooter.
No,
Yeah.
no,
He's
Gonna call you out.
he's a fucking
yeah,
he's a brew.
Yeah. It's business. Leave your feelings at the door.
yeah. I think he liked the fact that I was a surfer, but I could do the snow skate thing, like the snow skate thing.
Which probably gave you a leg up,
yeah.
within the group, because that was a part of the company that was really important to them.
Yeah.
Surfing was my lifeblood. That was everything. I was
Yeah.
really a surfer, but like in my career path, I ended up, that crazy reason at the very end of Arnette, like focusing on those two areas a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I was Olympic, I was part of the whole first Olympic run. I went to Nagano for the Olympics for snowboarding. Was goggle teching on the side
Wow.
of the pipe in Nagano,
Crazy.
like for Daniel Frank, who got second.
Wow.
So like I got to live that whole first Olympic run. And
So you were at the first
I was
Olympics.
in Nagano, snow monkey, the whole deal with the umbrella on the side of the pipe, Arnette umbrella on the side of the pipe, and I had like 3 or 4 guys in it because we were international at that point. So I had
Yeah.
a few guys placed pretty good, but like Daniel Frank got second. He was our big guy. He ended up getting second.
Wow.
And
Oh, rad.
yeah, it was so insane to be there for the first one.
Yeah.
That's the perks of marketing, travel, and just seeing like
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah.
It really is. Like I'll never forget being the first
Right?
snowboard Olympics. And just so cool.
So you switched over, moved over to Billabong,
Yep.
and what was your role there? Marketing.
Yeah,
for skate and
I
snow?
really focused on that, and I expanded a lot of other so wakeboarding. I did Clarky was focused on surf, and I was like kind of everything else. I had BMX going, I had wake crew, I had definitely the snow, establishing the whole snow team. We built a really insane snow team that was anchored with Selaznik and Kevin at first, but then we got Terry Kiedis and Kel Stevens and Andrew Crawford, and we had an insane snow team. And then skate team, same thing. I had Tony Hawk, and Bucky lastly. I brought Bucky over, not Tony. I brought Bucky over, and then same thing. We just built a really killer, skate program there. Brian Patch and on and on and on. Which was great. And I did that for a better part of 2 years for them, and then I hired Andrew Mariner to come in and kind of look over, because Graham's like, hey, I want you to be marketing director. I need you to oversee everybody.
Wow.
I'm global. You kind of oversee the whole operations of all the sports marketing, and I'll do that. And so, and that changes. I was overseeing kind of everybody, the whole sports marketing program. All of our events, all of the advertising, all the photo
What a
shoots,
great compliment, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You're kicking butt, and I need you to step it up.
Yeah.
In this other,
As-
more responsibility, bigger.
yeah, you're
budget.
doing such a good job.
Well,
Yeah.
We're gonna make you global
yeah.
marketing director.
Yeah,
Oversee.
Yeah, it was over. Yeah, so the cool thing was like, thank God I had that surf background.
Yeah.
that really gave me, like I knew surf better than I even knew the things I was working in.
Yeah.
But I ended up knowing the things I was working in as well. But like,
Yeah.
it was cool. It kind of just gave. I had that 360 marketing background of all sports really by that point because of X Games and traveling and everything and establishing the different teams in every sport. So I really had a really good 360 view of everything going on with sports marketing. So it was a perfect transition, and then of course surf's your behemoth. So like I'm really more so focusing on that and handing off the keys to Andrew Marin and those guys to go run with the other programs, still overseeing it and very involved, but like, we're sponsoring four events on tour. It's
Now-
like, where do you think
now
my time and focus is kind of going,
So now you're
It's
going
like-
on surf trips.
yeah,
You went
beyond.
from snow
Yeah.
to
'Cause that
Warp
would be-
to X Games to now really exotic surf spots.
But what he was saying, he had to put his focus on the 4 tour stops, right?
No, at that point, like we had Medaka, we had
Pipe.
J Bay. Well, Pipe was a little bit later on. That didn't come until like 2006 when we took it from Up Crow. But yeah, early on it was Medaka. It was J Bay. We had the Brazil event.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what other 4. We had 4 at one time when Tahiti was in the mix there too. So yeah, at one point we had like a quarter of the tour,
Yeah.
So it was a lot. It evolved, the events changed a lot, and we had a lot of QS. That was when every company was underwriting the whole tour. So not only do we have the championship tour events, but we had a lot of the QS events too. So
You mentioned earlier when you made the switch from Arnette to Billabong, how Candy was your wife was bummed.
she wasn't bummed. She was more just like, wow, this is affecting you this much. Like it was one of those like this means this much to you. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you understand how much it did mean to me.
And what's cool is like you two are a power fucking couple.
Yeah.
And Candy, she has worked in the industry.
Yeah, she was the smartest girl ever. I mean, she watched what was going on really close, and then just was able to take it and apply. I mean, she
You guys
the
met
whole
in
time
college, right?
we've been together forever. We met in '93, so she watched the whole thing. In '93, I was pretty established at Arnette by that point, and it was fully, and it's like flaring at that point. Arnette, so she kind of came into my life right when, holy shit, look at this company, look at all these characters, wow, we're going to Tahoe and we're raging with the raddest people ever.
What was she going
we're
to
going
school
to
for?
Vail. She came in and she did the same. She was advertising, so
Okay.
photography, advertising. Yeah, she came and she was a swimmer, so she was on the swim team. So we met at the pool at Pepperdine. We were both lifeguarding at the pool at Pepperdine. Yeah, another random job I did.
So rad.
But
So what was her career aspirations?
well, she came from Colorado, and then she came out, and then she was watching what was going on, seeing all the people Shane Dorian staying at the house, and Kira Dillon, and just all these different athletes, and so she just fell in love with the industry too because she was right in the mix of it all. She was around Arnette from '93, so she lived the rise, '93 till '98, that whole chapter, and she didn't end up moving down to. She graduated in '95. She's a couple years behind me, so she graduated. So then she moved down in '98. We moved to Laguna, and then she started as a random PR job, and she hated it. And then Big B and Vipe and Nick Adcock started that little marketing agency called The Shop. Remember they were doing
Yes.
Fox and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need someone
I just go pick up Reeboks there every other month.
Yeah. So Candy
Where
Candy
she's
got,
ever.
Yeah. She got hired by those guys,
Yeah.
to come and be the office girl and to kind of help, make sense of all their madness. All those guys, And she worked there for a couple years, or she got her good taste of that. And then Steve Asifin, who started The Family, which is the agency down in Carlsbad, basically told her I want you to come. I'm doing the same thing, but I want you to come work with me. And he had a bunch of good athletes, and they had a lot of X Games work and AT&T. So she ended up leaving The Shop to go to The Family, which is direct competitor. They all kind of started this agency group the same year. so funny. But she went there, and then Paul Nave stole her from there. He's like, I want you to come launch Billabong Women's.
Wow.
Because Billabong Women's, like, Bob flicked it. He never wanted to do women's. That was one of the dividing things. Like, I don't want to do women's. Like, that was one of the dividing factors where Gordon really wanted women's to get established and launched. So, and Esprit was doing it randomly, like in the beginning when the split happened. Esprit was doing it up out of San Francisco.
Esprit, the brand?
Yeah, it was doing it as like a licensee deal, almost doing women's Billabong.
For Billabong?
Women's. Yeah. This was right at that changeover time, that 98, 2000. And so Paul's like, I want you to come and launch Billabong Women's. I want you to, like, we're going to really do it. And so she came there and she spent, 12 years, 13 years there running that ship.
Gnarly.
Which was insane. It was really cool. At one point, I was men's. We were there.
Well, I mean, if you're a Gordon Merchant, like, look at what Roxy did.
Yeah.
I mean, holy crap.
Well, Candy was brilliant about women. She's like, I see Roxy, it's bubblegum young girl. She's like, I'm going to be that little bit more sophisticated woman, just a little bit older, because younger girls want to look up to the older girls. And she did a really good job of, like, making it a little bit more sophisticated, shooting a little bit older girls, and then making it so bubblegum young,
Yeah. I wanted to kind of bring that up and make that, known to
our
listeners, because it's
pretty crazy that we did that. We shared a common wall, like literally, like her door went out to the women's division this way, and my door went out this way to the men's division.
Yeah.
Like, it's so random to think that.
Like when we say power couple, that's a fucking power.
You get in a fight, you're not carpooling to work.
She used to yell at me to turn my music down in my office, and I'd be like, "Turn it up."
so not to belabor the point, but Paul,
yeah,
stole her from the family.
Yeah. He recorded her and got her to come. Yeah.
To launch
Billabong
Women's.
Yeah.
And what was her role? Like,
she's all the marketing stuff, because Mandy, like, they had designers hired, and Mandy Fry came in to do women's design. And like, it was really getting a lot designed out of Australia for a good bit, because it was happening in Australia.
Yeah.
Just to bring it over, it needed a U.S. centric feel. You couldn't just keep spoon feeding what's happening in Australia to the U.S. Like, so Candy was the team that brought in to make it very, launch Billabong Women's in the U.S.
Nice.
Make it what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, she crushed it. She did such a good job.
Okay, so back to you now.
Yeah.
So back to you. Now you're in charge of global marketing for Billabong.
No, just mainly U.S. There was
US.
Grant was global VP of marketing, and I was under him, so I was over the. But U.S. influence is big. We're growing, getting as close to big as Australia at this point. So definitely a big influence in the company. How Australia stuff is still definitely the biggest, but we were right there. As far as regionally. But I was running all the marketing overseas, and that's when. It was Shane Dorian, it was Ross Williams, that was right. I kind of took over marketing right when we signed Andy in like 2000. So, Taj and Parco and Rasta, it was we had the raddest team you could ever have.
I was nowadays have like Andy on Gotcha, or MCD, and then like straight over, like that guy was moving pieces all over the place. Huh?
Once again, it was the super Matt, the super one, which was MT, MT,
for sure.
That African relationship behind the scenes is like, hey, I want, if I'm gonna lose Andy on my brand MCD, I want him to go to someone I want to be with that I know is gonna look after his best interest. So there's MTV being the godfather and going like, hey, I want to make sure Andy gets taken care of, and I'm gonna put him with who I trust.
For sure.
So super credit MT for like helping kind of orchestrate that. And Clarky was big too. I gotta give Clarky a lot of credit, because he had the relationship from Gotcha. Because remember, Clarky came from Gotcha, so he had already had a relationship with Andy there. So Andy was a big relationship guy. It wasn't about what you're gonna promise me or even the dollars and cents.
Yeah,
it was more about like who I trust and who's my close fraternity of friends. And having those two relationships and the handoff that way was really what made that Andy deal happen. It was
so crazy,
so cool,
so wild. Like Gotcha MCD was such
amazing brand,
so amazing, so on point.
So look at all the guys,
Potts and Machado and Archie. Like you just go through and it's
gnarly. Their whole Blue Note campaign. Like MT was like a few mentors I really looked after, and Chris Burke was definitely one of them. Just as far as like the Hunter S. Thompson way you look at marketing, like crazy. Like MT was a version of that. Like you realize like some of the greatest creatives in our industry, they're borderline mad, but that's what makes them so special, and that's what makes them to be able to these great like disruptors because they're not thinking like everybody else is, like, you know, and like
not even.
and I just got lucky enough. Like NT used to come with Billabong, he'd come sit in my office. Like Adam's office, he would come and sit in, and he would sit there and come show me what you're working on. Like, you know, I get to take him to our department and show him like what we're working on, our ad campaign, what's going on, like, you know. And I don't know, I kind of like MT and Big B are probably two of my greatest like mentors, like, that I've learned from, and like, you know, you can't think like everybody else. You got to disrupt it, you know, and that's why they're geniuses. But they needed people around them to kind of help harness that. And I got to be one of those people for Big B that I kind of really helped keep the train on the tracks and just like, you know, make his great ideas, catch a bunch of his great ideas and make them come to life, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky through my career to have a couple people like that around me.
So amazing but stressful, huh?
Whose idea was it to buy those airplanes?
That was definitely not it. Well, it was actually, you know who it was? It was Castillo's. Mike Castillo. You remember?
I've flown with him quite a few times.
He's a great and Mattis man. You know, he's a TV dad. Like,
dude.
You got lucky enough to go to TV dad too, right?
I have
like,
stories with that guy for sure.
In like same like so it was more Castillo's idea and then selling the idea to Nade than it being Paul's idea. He's like, Castillo's like, how do I up my airplane game? Like, how do I like?
You know how many killer spots we could go if we had a seaplane?
Yeah. And so it was more Castillo saying, hey, children happen, Paul. Like, let's do this. If you can do this, let's do this. Like, I can make it happen. You know. So that's where the idea came from. Was Castillo.
That guy is so MacGyver.
Oh my.
It's like we'd fly down in Natividad and stuff, or Scorpion Bay, and there would be this spot. Can't tell. It's off some river mouth in a little headland in the middle of nowhere. And it was like legit, like point breaks. Nobody around. There's a little shack down there. And he comes as a flyby, and then you see this little truck go out. And there's a runway. We're like, where the fuck's the runway? What are you talking about? And the guy goes and moves a couple of like rolled trees on the runway, dirt, you know, all weeded up. And like we land, just thought we were gonna crash because it was so bumpy. And we had to spend a day and a half pulling weeds and filling in potholes.
Crazy. So crazy.
But we got to surf a wave that like, and then he had a van he drove down like the previous summer. So he had a little shack and he had his van. It's all rigged with like solar. This is like before like anybody knew what solar panels were. This is like fucking 90s. And he had like this van. He's like, it runs on like water and like solar, you know? What?
Insane. Yeah, I got lucky enough to go on a couple of the TV Dad missions.
But that guy was amazing.
Insane. Same to MacGyver. Like the first time I went with him,
he'd be drinking a 12er as we're flying.
Yeah.
Dropping his pee bags.
Dude, he wrenched on our plane on the runway, like, cause he's like, it sounds like spark plugs out or something. So we're sitting on the runway in the little Volkswagen, and he's like wrenching on it. You're like, oh my god, what are we going for? We had a great time. We went down to Tividad. I was with Gilovich and him and Larry Krause.
So good.
Crew. So
that guy's rad. So he helped facilitate the like planes.
Yeah, Castillo was the one that was really his idea, and he sold it to Paul and Graham. Like, hey, let's do this. You know.
Yeah.
But they had to buy two.
The way I remember it is they bought a plane that wasn't like you weren't
registered,
like you weren't allowed to use it for like flying, passenger flying. It was like it was like, you know how you buy a house and it's owned, you can't change. Same with plane was like it was designated as something specific, and we couldn't get it insured to take passengers because of the way that it was. So we had to buy another one.
Crazy.
So, which is pretty nice. I think at one point we had 2 seaplanes. Yeah. But, some of those missions were insane. Like I got to go test it. We had to fly out to like a couple different lakes just in the beginning to go land and jump off it, and just, you know, wow, we're gonna do this to get ready to like figure what do we need in it. And then I got to go on the Void mission with that first mission with Andy and Shane Dorian. We flew down Scorpion. And we surfed that point we landed there and we realized like we can't like jump out of a plane with 100 guys in the water. Are you kidding me? That looks so dumb. Like, so we ended up taking off and flying up to the next point north. Stips and those guys were down there to meet us, and they're like, hey, like it's crowded. We flew to the next point up, which is, I don't know if I should say the name or whatever. There's a little point north of it, and we ended up surfing out there, which was cool. Pulling up, getting lobsters in the boat, and flying back and staying in the camp. Like, just insane. Yeah,
gnarly.
They made a little show out of that for outside television or something. Where Andy was flying the plane for a bit. And yeah, it was pretty cool. That was a good.
That was what's good about Mike. We all had hands on the wheel for a few.
100%.
Yeah.
I always love he had the wetsuit in the cockpit, you know, as we flew over that one part to go into Natividad, because he's like, yeah, if we go down here, you definitely need a wetsuit. You just have the wetsuits in the cockpit. You're like,
So radical.
Who is this guy? Mike Castillo?
Yeah, he was a pilot, and like he just was like the go-to guy. There was
For
one
Natividad?
other, like pretty much all Baja. Like so, when now they do all the quick strike missions to like Scorpion mainly like Natividad.
Yeah.
You know, I had to have a special like swell, and there's only a couple people who want to land there because it's a really short runway, and you're coming in on a side wind, and the people on the island had to know you, just like Scorpion. You know, like there was, you couldn't just go
Chatty, good old Chatty would Chatty was his nickname. When Chatty would meet you, and you could his house, like
And so you had to have an inn, you know, it wasn't just an open airport. It was like they had to know your plane, you had to come bring gifts and butter them up. And,
Nativity was gnarly because the runway was set up wrong. It's not forceful. You had to go in sideways and then stick the landing. So you had to literally fly in sideways and then at the very end stick your landing.
Yeah, you're getting blown at a side and angle, and they have to like, because this side wind, you'd have to slam it, and then because if you've ever been in a prop plane versus a jet plane, it's weird. It's totally different feeling.
Yeah.
You know, jet's like you're just thrusting through this. It's like you're pulling, and it's like just squiggly. It's like a Volkswagen's like bug.
Yeah.
With like it has like no power steering. It's like woo, and they have to like slam, and things like you think it's just gonna get blown over. It's fucking wild.
It is.
And it's not how many people in the plane?
Like four. Yeah, maybe five in Mike's if he had his twin prop. Yeah, but like most of them are like single props, and
you're basically in a Volkswagen dude in the sky. It's so similar. You feel like that. It even sounds like that.
Yeah.
So
bad, but fun.
You're in your marketing position. What were your roles? Like what were you?
I would oversee like all of our photo shoots, all of film projects, all of the team, all the athletes assigning the budgets. Like I mean, pretty much everything. You know, Graham was a little bit more heavily involved because with the ASP background with the events. So he was on the front lines of that because he understood, he came from that world. He was a judge for 10 years on the tour, so he really worked closer with our events and all the contracts and just that, but still pretty darn heavily involved in the events as well, as far as like athlete housing and who's staying where and just
a lot of logistics.
Just all like any promotions or things that are happening, movie premieres around it, like like where G was a little bit more in on the infrastructure of the events. I kind of focus on all the activities and athlete and signings and all that around the events.
What athletes were like fun to be around and work with, and which were prima donnas?
Yeah, they're they're all cool. They're all their job. But everyone was great. I mean, of course, no one wants to do a sign. Athletes they're paid to surf. And photo shoots and signings are the hardest things. To get people to do. No, surfers don't want to be models. They don't want to stand around and smile for the camera. So that friction mainly more happened there, making guys have to like stand in front of the camera and do signings and stuff like that. Tours and tour stuff, but we always did it right. We always made it fun for everybody. There was definitely moments for sure. Me and Andy screamed at each other a few times, for sure. Like in Indonesia, I was like surfing all day, and then I gotta try to make him stand in some polo shirt in front of some bamboo wall. He's like, I'm so over this. And I'm like, dude, I'm over it too. But people buy clothes because you wear them, so you can smile for the camera too.
So
it'll take 10 minutes. Let's do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just catching, knowing. I mean, after a while, building that relationship and knowing when to get them and get it done, get them in their happy mood.
Also, like, take them out of their comfort zone too, though, in a bit, and like make them do things. I always try to make them do things that would be unexpected and would kind of be an experience for them. Like Andy never camped on his own island. I took him camping at Kalalau. You know what I mean? He's like, he never camped. Like he wasn't a camper. Like he'd never been to the cabins in Kokay, and I made him go stay in the cabins in Kokay. Like, make the guys do different things that kind of like took them out of their. So they're eggy, but they're not really. They're like, this is rad. Like, we bring our chicks too. Yeah, bring your girls. Like, let's make this fun. Let's go camp and have a bonfire and stay in the cabins in Kokay. Like, check out a part of your island you've never seen. Like,
that's cool.
So I'd always like kind of try to do that stuff with the team and think things different. Not just make it like you're eggy, like stand in front of some colored wall and shoot a photo.
So you were at Billabong for like 12 years?
Yeah, 14 actually.
14.
I was there 98, 2012.
Dang.
14. So yeah, It's a long, you know, that definitely called the golden era for sure. That from 2000 to 2008 was insane. It was just
insane.
What rider could you sign? How much money could you spend? What party? What movie? Like, you know, it was unreal. But 2008 on was a lot grindier. You know, it was a lot more of like, instead of the rise, it was like the peeling back. You know, that's always a lot. You know, to like get more budget conscious and like more fiscally responsible and a shrinking more. You know, it definitely challenges much more come with that than it does when you're just like, you know, pedal to the metal. You know. So,
party hard.
Yeah.
Work hard, party hard.
It's crazy when you're on the trajectory of going up and how like tight the purse strings are at one point in time, and then they fucking just loosen up because, you know, your brand's going big, the budgets are going big, and then, you know, 2008.
Yeah, no, it just that whole financial crisis, like it was like hitting a brick wall for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it was definitely had to be a lot more budget fiscally responsible from that point on. It was like, you know, shrinking programs. You know, it's fun to grow. It sucks to like have to let go of riders and things like that. It's like the worst thing, you know. It's like you create all these amazing relationships with these guys and travel the world, and you're like their biggest cheerleader, and then you got to tell them like, that, you know, sorry, we don't have any more money for you. Like, it's brutal. Like, it's, you know, it's the worst thing. That's the worst part of the job. You know, having to get rid of any athletes because, you know, you love them all. I mean, become so close with them, working together and, you know, advertising and blowing them up and helping them build their career up from, you know, and Billabong did a really good job of taking care of their athletes. You know, you look at the lifeblood of athletes on that company, you know. We're not in the business of, like, Billabong wasn't in the business of, like, getting riders and chewing them up and spitting them out. It was like, no, we're going to grow with you from a kid to your career, to your pro career and beyond. So,
as long as you're performing and, you know, staying healthy and, you know, growing too, then it makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
But they had, I mean, Billabong was really good too at like grouping in the other brands with their athletes, you know, like Von Zipper with Billabong and
they started buying them, right?
Well, but like, you know, making sure all the stickers kind of coexisted if they could.
They could. We talked about this on this trip this weekend a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like head to toe is a kiss of death, you know, for athletes. Like, I feel like when you homogenize athletes and put them under one label, like they're so much less valuable because you're getting so much less energy put into them. Yeah, you own them head to toe, and it's just their sticker on their board. But you realize like now they don't have an eyewear company putting energy into them, money behind them. You don't have a shoe company. You don't have, you know, just on and on. Like, you know, I used to say that because when I worked in snow, Burton would always do this. They always wanted their guys head to toe, and like. When a rider had 8 sponsors, they had 8 camps, like cheering for them, putting energy in them. They had 8 ads in the magazines throughout the year, you know? Then when you go head to toe, you get 1. Like,
it works for like an athlete occasionally, but like still even them, you know, would they benefit more if it was like multi for sure. They probably, but you know, whether it's a Sean White or Kelly Slater, that it did work for them because they were beyond bigger than anybody else. But could you imagine if Kelly had a Red Bull sticker on his board freaking 20 years ago, and you know, or Oakley on his board, or some of these other massive brands that would have paid
that's
ship.
That's what he's saying. Like, you know, not only would they make more money, but they'd have an opportunity for more marketing from different camps.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the homogenation, like just putting them all in one sticker, because I just, you know, it's like we're a sport that's about individuality, you know, and then as soon as you have a bunch of robots that are all the same, you know, it's like you kind of take away from what we're all about. Like, you want everyone to be different, you know, and rock things different and be different, you know. That's really what makes our sport so uniquely different than a football team when everyone's in the same uniform, or a baseball team when everyone's in the same uniform. Like,
NASCAR that shit up.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. I was just having the same conversation with Cherie from WSL. I'm like, no, like, don't take the headspace away from these guys. Like, let them be more, dive into their individuality than.
Remember, it got so ugly that they would Photoshop out logos and ads and shit back in the day.
Oh yeah,
like
100%. Well, you did that. Billabong did that stuff. Like, dude, like,
one cool thing though about that is like, not about that, but what happened with brands started creating new brands so they can compete against their competitors. You know what I mean? Like, shoe companies were becoming big logos on people's boards, and then more shoe logos came.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Look at the Oakley Dragon thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Oakley was, Dragon was financed by Oakley back in the day to compete against Arnette. That's a for sure. Like,
For sure.
The people still want to say that didn't happen.
Oh, that was the biggest.
No,
yeah,
like
that
Oakley
rumor
actually like helped them get their start so that they could kind of come at us from a different angle for sure. Like that's that whole.
Well,
Is that what Bruce told us?
I mean, I don't know if
I
he
think
told
it's
us-
still hypothetical, but it still is. But
No, the rumor was for sure that, but the way they smoke screen, oh no, we were just handling the production.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, they're made at the Oakley, you know,
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
same shit, just different logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super
It was
crazy.
a, you know, lower price point for, hey, when you're that big and that, you know, that much money and you could do that, then cool, you know, but.
I miss the competition though.
I mean,
to be honest, like that's rad. Like hell yeah, bring it on. Like, you know, competition. Like that's what we're still missing today. It's, you know, I love board riders. You know, and the fact that they're still going. But like the days of when we were competing quick and Billabong against each other, like to me, like that's what the industry is all about.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
we've lost a little bit of that spirit. You know, and
For
I
sure.
hope to see more of it come back. I'm really rooting for like the Rourke guys and the Brixton guys and the Vissla guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like we need competition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can't have all the big brands under one umbrella. Like it's just really not good. Getting back to individuality thing, like you know, it's that's part of like the specialness of our industry. Like, you know, the fact that we did compete and the athletes compete and like it's, you know, it's not one love. You know, it is like we're a tribe as far as surfers and we back each other. But
Well,
like,
But it's friendly
is,
competition.
yeah, competition is so important.
Yeah, to elevate the product and to really, you know, challenge at the, you know, design level and the register ringer. I mean, we all talk about like
and
the
honestly,
industry can't survive on 3 or 4 big brands. You know, they need a lot of diversity in the shops to make it like
and honestly, our shops and the companies, if they're owned by one, they're kind of, you know, held
No, I mean
under one budget. You
like,
know what I mean? Like it sucks if one brand's not performing, you're not paying that bill. You're not getting any of the other brands.
oh, my Ruka wouldn't ship because they would owe some other brand in the portfolio some money, and I'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, no, that's the way it worked, and it's just like that hurts.
Yeah, even on the athlete side though, like that whole like Griffin leaving Billabong and going to Quick thing, you know, it just feels like they're trading baseball cards. You know what I mean? They're all in the same offices. Like, you know, was that competitive in our office? Like, I would have loved if it was. Like, no way you can't have Griffin. Oh, we're taking him. Like,
Do you know how much he's making from
you
this
know,
brand?
in my mind, I've just seen those guys all sitting in the same room and going,
you think-
okay, you can have this guy, but we'll give you this guy. You know, like, I mean, it does
Do
feel
you have
like a trading like
baseball cards. Here we go. I got these. Which one? You can't have this, but you can have that one. You know, like I'm so for Griff though. I love him. You know,
for sure. We're all the biggest fans ever.
Like,
for sure.
I just was like, I was a little like, I didn't want to see him go there either because I signed him when he was 10 to Billabong, so like, or 12 when he was Billabong, so like, I was a little like, oh, to see
So
him leave.
were you integral in stuff like that, like contracts and
Oh
stuff?
yeah, I started when Griff was 12. I was part of like that. I credit Vinny for that one, the opinion, because I'm like, we need a San Clemente kid, like we need a kid, because you know, like back. You're always watering your garden towards marketing. You always have a new crop coming up. You can't just be having Andy Irons up here and not having like the next Groms down here. So we knew we were super exposed in San Clemente and like Newport and stuff, where like Ruka and a lot of the other brands had a better hold. So yeah, Griff was part of that. Us going identifying like we need some San Clemente young blood. Like all those kids down there at Lowers. There's a bunch of well, which one like are you gonna bet on? There was like 3, and Vinny's like, I think, you know, he gave us the 3, and it was like. Griff, you know, he's kind of the underdog of these 3, but he's the one. He's such a good kid. So like, that was part of that. So, but I'm stoked for Griff on his Quick deal. Like, I know it's good for him, you know, and I'm really psyched. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do this year on tour. We're just finishing our movie project together. It's Ethan Ewing, Griffin, Colapento, and Seth Muniz. We're doing Trilogy 2. Me and Taylor Steele got together to do a sequel to Trilogy 1, which was. Everyone remembers Andy, Taj, and Joel. So instead of having the storyline be about the 3 best world surfers at the time in the world, it's like, here's a different kind of treatment to that Trilogy 2, or like here's the three best kids kind of coming up right now in the world. And
so rad.
So
cool.
Let's talk about that, like movies.
Yeah.
Right. So you were integral in making some movies.
Yeah,
Tell us.
I
Tell us
think I
which
counted
movies.
to 25 films when I was like when I left Billabong. I think it was somewhere around 21, 22, and I've made quite a few cents. So like,
Yeah.
just being part of the process in some process, like whether I was producer, because when you're running the marketing, especially the action sports companies, like your movies are your lifeblood.
And I only named 2, and I should have I'm going to add this. Surf Madness and Kissed by God, along with 25 others.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's cool. I have this on paper somewhere, all the films I worked on. But yeah, I mean, as we know, like surf films, like as we were kids, we were talking about Blazing Boards this weekend.
Yeah.
Together, what I mean? Like those soundtracks in those movies, and then what Jack McCoy did after that, like. So yeah, going to
Yeah, because you're like the generation after Jack McCoy.
Yeah, I came in right at the end of Jack at Billabong, which was cool. I still got to work with him. I still got to do. We did 9 Lives. Was the first one I worked on with Jack, which was I don't know if you guys remember that one. That was
I do.
Kern was in that, and Rasta and Parko were in that movie. Like, so I got to work on 9 Lives, and I got to go tour that to Puerto Rico. That was the first trip I did with Parko and Rasta. They were and
Classic.
first time I ever got to stay with Kern. Like Kern stayed and shared a room with Kern in Puerto Rico, and I was like. Thought it's one of those pinch yourself moments too.
Yeah.
Like here's Kern, like we're hanging out together, touring this movie.
Just on his guitar, like
Yeah.
just
So
zen it
cool.
out.
But yeah. So very like right when I came to Billabong was kind of Jack's kind of last chapter there. He did 9 Lives, and then we did Documentary, which was insane.
You're
like,
part of documentary.
just more on the touring side,
Yeah.
helping tour it and help Jack over here on the touring
Yeah.
side. So just helping distribution, and we premiered it at the. Surf Expo, and like I had brought Aki out and did the mini tour with it.
Yeah.
And then Free as a Dog with Parko's one. So I think that was the very last one Jack did because.
Yeah.
Oh no! And then we did Blue Horizon. Blue Horizon was sick. I helped Jack film on that one a little bit and stuff too. Just as far as held the second camera, like we're going to Oliva, grab the second camera, and then like worked on Blue Horizon with them and helped big part of touring that one and. That film was that Rasta and Andy story. If you haven't seen mine, Blue Horizon, that was cool. Andy got pissed off with that movie because it kept being cash register every time he won an event. He kind of used the storyline to pit like pro surfing against the free surfer thing, and kind of made Andy we didn't necessarily have Andy out too much in that movie. Andy was kind of held a grudge after that, so that was kind of the last Jack McCoy Billabong movie. I think he did Freeze a Dog after that, but that was it. But got to work on that little chapter of Jack McCoy films at Billabong, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, those companies, whether it was Billabong, which did an exceptional job, Quicksilver, they would put out movies every year, like sick ones. They put a lot of money in.
Did you have any part in the Fly the Champagne?
Yeah, no, I have help on that one big time.
Yeah.
That was worked on that with Taylor and Matt Bashane. And after that project, Matt actually came work for Billabong. But yeah, it was a big part of just that one more producing, like organizing, getting athletes where they needed to be when. And yeah, I was in that movie too. I just got interviewed. Me and I think Strider was in that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked on that film as well.
Yeah.
Finest Champagne was good. Like that was that the height of the rivalry thing with Kelly and Andy.
Yeah. You gotta take a break.
Break. And we're back.
All right. So that rivalry, and you guys captured and talked about Kelly and Andy and Kelly. You were at a lot of the events, huh?
Yeah, I was at a lot of them. I mean, it was such a cool time, like Quicksilver and Billabong battling, but not only battling just as companies, but with their athletes.
Yeah.
In the events, it felt like you were putting your horse on the racetrack. And, and just it was crazy because it was like Billabong versus Quick, but it was like not only Andy versus Kelly, but I had Taj and Joel Parkinson, both Parko and Taj. So it was like this era of like it was one of those 3 guys. It was like one of my 3 guys was gonna be coming up as Kelly at some point. And like so funny. Like I spent I love Kelly, and he's like, what he's done for our industry is like incredible. Like, we owe so much to him for just, the surf industry and giving us like this amazing life that we all have. But I spent my whole career like rooting against him just because I had, the Billabong guys and having those three guys. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those guys that were battling, in every event, like it seemed like it came down. If it wasn't Kelly and Andy, it was Taj and Andy. I mean, Taj and Kelly, and if it wasn't Taj and Kelly, it was Parko and Kelly. So I just, I spent a lot of time against Kelly, which sucks, but in a way it was like we talk about this whole
It's like my
rivalry.
fantasy team. Like I'm always just like, I can't put all my favorites on, but I got a butt. I'm like, oh.
So you were on the beach on a couple of those occasions.
Yeah, and the most talked about one is that J-Bay event. I was there in 95 when in that final it came down to Kelly and Andy. And yeah, everyone, talks about that score. I don't think Kelly got the score, but he did, but you could talk about probably a lot of other scores in other ways at different events, but yeah, I mean, I remember Andy getting the wave just before him, like he literally blew the bag out of it, and he went so far down the beach you couldn't even see him, and then to watch Kelly get that next wave and do like 4 turns and then fall, you're like, oh, there's no way he got it. Andy got it for sure, and you see it, and when you watch it in the movie, you watch it in the movie and watch Andy's face, how just distraught and pissed off he was. But that was just heavy because Andy ended up losing that world title by like 102 points into that year, like the closest the battle ever was. We ended up giving Andy his bonus for getting second, just because we thought he won the world title that year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So that was a difference maker in that.
Yeah, you could probably they got a lot of heats here and there, but I mean, that's a lot of points. Like first to second's a lot. It used to be even a lot more than I think it is now. Like it's a big drop off from getting first and second point wise.
Yeah.
It's like 2,000 points or something. To lose by 102 points, like it's like close.
That's heart wrenching.
Yeah, it is. That definitely crushed.
And Andy pretty much brought Kelly out of retirement, and like that rivalry was like none other, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy was just cutthroat and so good at everything.
Yeah, I mean, like 2002, 2003, 2004 were insane. I mean, those are just glory years watching Andy winning those. He got signed on a Billabong in like into 2001, and then who knew like he was gonna go on 3 years in a row, win 3 world titles. Like
heavy.
It was like just poetic. It was so amazing to watch him come in. He was such a machine then. He was so in love with surfing and surfing so much. Like he was the biggest frother. I remember going to see him in Hawaii, and he wanted to go surf like 1 foot in Enich. Like I wouldn't even surf that at home. And I remember him just being so frothed out and so red, on his program and surfing, loving surfing.
What's funny, like thinking about an athlete's job is not only to compete, right, but in pro surfing, they're there to sell product,
sell the lifestyle.
And if you look back and think of the product that Billabong was making, so the signature product. I mean, the Rising Sun board short.
Oh, there's a classic story behind that one. Like, so I go to Kauai to do a photo shoot, and like, we have the shorts all planned out for the athletes. Like we had these Andy ones that came with cards. They had like card playing cards, like diamonds and that stuff. Different card logos on it. And they were gonna come with a pack of cards with photos of him and everything. That was gonna be Andy's. Rising Suns were actually supposed to be, I think, Dorian's shorts. And I show up on Kauai and have all the shorts out, and I'm all, here's your new boardies. He's like, I hate these things. They're like MCD. I don't ride for MCD anymore. Like, I want
the card ones.
I want those shorts, right there, the Rising Sun ones. And he made that call out. And then he took, I had to call, of course, back the design crew. I'm like, sorry guys, Andy's board shorts changed the logo on that thing. Like, ended up making it Taj's. I think we ended up making it Taj's board short and I still have those playing cards to this day. But making that one the Taj short, and then Andy took the Rising Sun one. And then he literally took them from that photo shoot on Kauai to Japan, and he beat Kelly in that Japan event. And it was like, how do you plan that stuff? Like,
is that the contest after losing in J-Bay?
I don't know where it fell on the tour, but that was, I don't even know what year that was, but like, I mean,
I watched that
probably
heat just like last week.
Yeah. But that final was really sick.
Dude, it was insane.
It was like dark and like it was like
overcast. You got the little monsoon swell.
Yeah. And what's crazy is he needed a 9 something. To beat Kelly.
Yeah.
And he absolutely got a 9 something to beat Kelly. It was undeniable that he got the score, which was fucking amazing.
But yeah, how iconic those shorts went on to be like one of our
Yeah.
best sellers ever
Yeah.
at Billabong. And that was Andy's. I get to this day, I give Andy so much credit for that. He's like, no, those are those are mine.
Yeah.
You know, and he was king of the castle at that point. We're like, yeah, okay, those are yours.
So we had built Rising Sun board shorts at Ruka before, like
Yeah.
Billabong.
Yeah.
took-
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, the Rising Sun, like, it
No,
was,
but it was like we had an intern
yeah,
that was in our art department or design department, and like he like took the files. We didn't run it off the left thigh. We ran it off the back. We actually did a hat, like a foam trucker with the stripes coming off the logo.
Laura always brings this up.
yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
you know, but iconic little logo, and Andy, it was match made in heaven for
He's
sure.
a match
I
made in
mean,
heaven.
You know,
But that's when athletes were really moving product,
Yeah.
like at a level that
and
was
and specifically board shorts for like, I remember it might have been around the same time, Dorian was all into like doing hand art or whatever, and they came out with a white board short, and so you could like stencil your own designs on it. It was like, I don't know what they called it, but it was just an all white board short, and it had him, doing, I don't know, you guys might have done a contest or giveaway.
Yeah, I forgot what
Do you
that
remember?
series. I remember those shorts specifically. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like I think we even said stencils. I think we sold stencils
Yeah.
with that board short
For
too,
sure.
so that you could like stencil your board short up.
Yeah, we had like crappy Ruka board shorts, and I bought a Billabong one, and I sprayed like Ruka logos on it.
Yeah,
So I did. I went on a trip. Like it was like
It's so good. It's so good.
I had some Endorians like board shorts.
Oh yeah, what was it? I forget what those were called, but I totally remember that campaign.
Yeah,
yeah.
They were great. It was a great idea. Like it was cool because you could kind of customize your own board shorts, like a white canvas,
So you, after Andy unfortunately passed,
Yeah.
you made the movie Kissed by God.
Yeah, it was five years after.
Dang.
Me and Lindy were together in July at Pat Stacy's house, and we were just saying, she's like, oh, yeah, and she's like, I think I'm ready, I think I'm ready to do the movie. Like, time definitely had to pass. I mean, it was such an open one for all of us. Like, definitely, like, just so sensitive, but we were hanging out in July, and she's like, I think I'm ready. Like, I think, let's talk about it. And then we just talked about, different ideas about who we think could do it. And we had this big relationship with the Teton Gravity Research guys in Jackson Hole, because every year after the tour, I would take the team snowboarding in Jackson Hole, and we'd go as like season's over, let's go snowboard, let's go shed some powder, and like just do something different, So that would be like our A-team trip. We would take everybody. So we had this relationship with those guys, production company, and I'm like, I think it might be better to tell this story, like to do this movie. Maybe we have somebody outside of our world kind of tell the story, because like we're so intimately involved with it that we're going to talk to ourselves, and it's going to be two insiders. Like you kind of need to take yourself out of the room and be asking people questions differently and describing things differently about somebody than you would if you were so close to it. So it was my idea to say, hey, let's go talk to the CGR guys and see what you think about maybe having them. We had a great relationship built with them for the years, so it was a comfortable fit. I knew we were going to need someone that understood. They were smart enough to know the sensitivity around telling a story like this, and how you go to Hawaii. Like your first few trips to Hawaii, you don't even bring cameras. You need to go meet everybody. You need to barbecue with everybody. You need to hang out with everybody.
You need to get those real stories and let them know that this is a tribute and not just
get everybody comfortable with.
100%. Like these are mountain boys. They kind of understand like the surf culture a little bit. Like, hey, like same like the mountains. You don't just roll in the mountains and think you're a mountain guy. And
Right.
then you need to pay your dues a little bit and understand.
Make it authentic and like down to earth. And
so like they're loose. I love teacher guys. They're tight loose. They call it. Like they're cannons. Like they're rad. But they're kind of like the Eenz brothers in a way. You know what I mean? Like Bruce and Andy were like they were fully raw, and Steve and Todd are raw, like mountain guys. Like Bruce and Andy are
their brothers too.
Guys. Yeah, they're brothers too. So Todd and Steve Jones own Teton Gravity, and their brother is Jeremy Jones, who's the craziest big mountain.
Oh shit!
He's like the Shane Dorian of big mountain riding.
Yeah.
So when the idea came up, we went out there, and Lindy's I'm in, you know, like let's see, a bunch of people were approaching her to do the movie, like a ton of people were, but like I'm all just not right fit, and it was cool. It was like a life work for me, and I feel so lucky to be part of it because like you know I worked so close with Andy and Lindy through all the years that you know I really wanted Andy's life to mean more than 3 world titles and dying, and I really wanted the movie to mean something and be like give the next generation hope and you know give people that are struggling with the same problems hope, you know. So you know it was such an honor to be able to work on that film, you know, and really give that, you know, give back, you know, like it was incredible. I'm really happy with it. It's a gift that keeps kind of giving back to me, where like people will email us all the time like thank you for making this movie. My brother,
it's one of the best tribute documentary life story telling. It's a bitchin' movie. No, I feel so lucky to be any part of it. I feel so lucky just to be part of Andy's life and even to be around him, you know, like he made life so amazing, you know, as far as just his energy and how charismatic he was and what he gave to surfing. I mean the tour and surfing so misses him, like you know.
For sure. Yeah, all of, I mean, especially him, just based on his freakishly great talent and just he was just deadly in New Jersey, like you know, like
he was
like he just pushed so hard, so predictable. I mean, you know, you just didn't know what to expect, and he would do the best floater of the event, or he would do the best combo, or he'd do the best combo, you know, like best. What it was just.
He was a warrior,
you know.
And just those stories of him yelling in the fight finals at like Corey, like you know, just all the stuff, you know, like Andy was a competitor, like so through and through, just wanted.
Well, I mean that story of him winning was it Lacanau, and how Kelly, if Andy would have lost the heat, Kelly would have won the world title, and then it was like, but Andy went on to win the contest.
Was that the one that Bruce? Is that the one that Bruce beat Kelly in the semis, and then Andy beat Bruce in the finals? That's like, I mean, that final of those two, like when Bruce gets a 10 and beats Kelly in the semis, and then they were both in the final. That was a pretty magical, iconic event.
Yeah.
Like,
but I remember, like, you know, Andy's like, yeah, you know, I heard the Quicksilver guys were putting champagne on ice. It's like, you better put those cases away for a little bit.
It was crazy how like,
it ain't over yet.
Yeah.
Kelly won so many Billabong events, and Andy won so many Quicksilver events. I don't know if you guys ever put like. I mean, I think I was just so much closer to it. I recognized it more, but like, I mean, Kelly would win Billabong events so much, and then Andy would win Quicksilver events so much. Like, it was crazy how like the competition went all the way down to that. You know. It's like,
I mean, we need good rivalries. I mean, every sport has. You know, when there's something like that, two athletes that just trading blows. It's so. Well,
that. You know, you have to have personality too to make those rivalries that much more impactful, right? Because Kelly is, you know, you're kind of like consummate professional, didn't party, didn't have a brash, you know, didn't use a cuss word that much, really. I'm sure he does, but then you have Andy who's just like no holds barred, and in like a bar room kind of like, you know, hey, fuck you, dude. And the way, I don't know who was it, a poker guy that used to do the gooseneck and like, you know, point your, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Like Andy would do this after, like, that's his claim. Yeah. He would like put his hand in his face. Yeah. And I think it was a poker guy that did that, right?
I like his shotgun after he beat Dean Moore.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The shotgun it.
So good.
Such a good claim.
So, Billabong, how many years of Billabong?
14.
Yeah, it was 14.
14 years.
14 years there, yeah.
And then from there you went to
Fox? I went to Fox for 2 years, yeah. Just to kind of round out my marketing and get the two-wheel thing in for a bit. And then they brought me there to kind of build up Pete Fox. That was another one. I was on the couch for months after that one, leaving Billabong. Like, it was like such a hard decision for me in my life.
Bet.
Yeah.
Like, I put everything, you know. Arnette, I was there for 8 years, you know, which was so hard to leave there, you know, and then I went to Billabong and that built a whole family and life there, and I was there for 14 years, so imagine like the heartache,
The breakup.
there. Yeah, it was like a serious.
And was your
divorce.
wife still at Billabong and you bounced?
Yeah, she was still kind of like halfway there. She was just left to start Stance Women's. She launched the whole women's division for Stance.
Oh wow!
So she was kind of
Power.
1 foot in, 1 foot like in both.
Yeah.
So she was already kind of like going into her next chapter. And then I left in 2012, like the end of 2012. And, yeah, it was a hard decision. I definitely lamented over that one for a bit. It was like leaving a family. But it was a really weird time at Billabong too. You know, like that Target chick was in there running it, and I had, I went to Paul and Graham. I'm like, I don't want to leave. Like, this is my home. Just tell me, give me 3-year plan, or like, just give me like anything.
Yeah.
I just want to know future here, because it seems real squirrely right now. And they both were looking at me cross-eyed going, dude, we're all figuring out plan B right now. They said that word for it. I'm like, all right, I do not want to go. I love this place. I do not want to leave. But like, if your bosses are telling me like they're looking at plan B, like you're like, all right.
Yeah,
I guess
that's
it's
kind
time,
of
so.
that's kind of an eye-opening. Like, holy shit, what do I do now?
Yeah, that Laura Inman chick was there, like from Target, and she was, things were squirrely. People were tripping. People were like diving their desks. It wasn't a good time. So like, I'm all right. Like, I guess this is a sign. I got Pete Fox kind of coming. It's a private company. The Fox family owns it.
Right.
Like, rad. What a cool opportunity. Go work for a private company again. I'm not going to be a publicly traded company and go do it for us. And he's like, I want to get out, come over the mountains. I want to blend my company a little bit. I don't want to be, like, I think we can do, they already had, like, the team was, he kind of brought me into not only I was hired as global marketing, VP of global marketing. So which was cool. I got to like look under the hood and like, dude, I got to work with like Ken Roxon and, Emig and, Ricky Carmichael. And like, these are all just like amazing.
Huge celebrities in their own right.
Yeah, their mountain bike
dominators.
Mountain bike team was insane. Like, it was really cool to get that rounded out marketing experience, working in those worlds, and once again, kind of try to bring a different flavor to it, and do something a little different there and get them out of their
bubble.
Yeah, their little thing. And a big part was like building their surf team though too. So, coming in there, it was they already had Ian Walsh was already there, which was cool, and Keanu Singh was there. Damien Hopgood was there.
Delani was here gone.
Kalani was gone. I tried to bring him back during it, and things got squirrely. Like just because like things got squirrely for me when I was trying to bring him back. Because I went there, and it was let's build up the surf program, which we did. We built a sick one. Like besides those guys, I brought Chippa Wilson in. I signed Bruce.
Heavy hitters.
We got Carolyn Marks. We got the whole Marks family.
Oh wow.
We had a sick program. Like I brought Frankie DeAndre in to run the team. He's the biggest legend ever. And we had a good thing going, We're like, sweet, this is off. It felt good. Like all the other programs were humming. Let's sell the company thing came along again. I was a year and a half into it, and Dad and brother kind of like told Pete like, your plan is not our plan. So they're like, we want to sell the company. So
Dang.
They brought Nick Adcock in to like sell it off, and I'm like, I just. They thought I was just a surf guy. Like I wasn't just a marketing guy. So they're like, I'm like, dude, I didn't spend like a year and a half, 2 years here. They're like, now like all these people I brought on, I'm not gonna sit here and like get rid of everybody now because you guys want to sell the company. So it was perfect time for me. Like it gave me that window to go, okay, I'm out, and that's right. And that July was right when me and Lindy had that conversation. Let's do the movie. So I'm like. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I'm all Lindy. If it's gonna be now, like let's do it now because like I see I have a window coming up. Like I'm gonna leave. I'm leaving Fox. Like I got a window. Let's do it. So like that, our conversation happened in July. By February, we were working on the movie. Like so, I left Fox in like November was like last month. And by January, February, we were working on the film.
I mean, that's just like when you think
meant to be.
Yeah.
When
something doesn't pan out, and you think like, oh man. Just other things open up.
No, it was that for me. Like going to Fox ended up being, because I would have been a lifer at Billabong. I would like honestly, like I didn't want to leave. There's no way. Like I love all the, Shano, and I love so many athletes still there. I was still such good friends with everybody I was with there. But I would never have left, and that was kind of the crazy hiccup at Billabong was kind of kicked me out of the nest, and then going to Fox kind of like for that short span and gave me the time, and it was like it set me on the path to be able to do Andy's film. And I wouldn't want it to have gone
So
any other way, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that was crazy. I signed up to do that for 2 years and ended up taking 4 years. You know.
What?
So yeah, we spent 4 years working on that documentary. So
Wow.
it needed all that time and
Yeah.
love and attention. You know.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's great even that.
4
like,
years.
4 years. So like.
That is nuts.
Yeah, you sign up to do something for 2 years and then it takes 4. You know, and that's how I ended up incubating Caddis, my new
Yeah.
I founded out of that, because during the 4 years you're like, okay, I signed up for 2 years, got paid for 2 years, but I guess I still gotta work. I can't leave this film. Like I
For
need to
sure.
see it all.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
there's
committed.
no way. Like this is a
So how do I-
life work for me. Like there's no way I'm walking away from this. Like so, it gave me that time in between that time to incubate a new brand. So I spent 2 years. The second 2 years working on the film and incubating Caddis, and we spent 2 years like doing everything, the designs, the packaging, everything until we end up launching that. You know.
So
right at the end of
for the listeners, Caddis is
yeah, Caddis was an eyewear brand. It's a reading glass brand. So for me, it's like my Arnette 2.0. Like
Yeah.
you know, I
Come in full circle.
coming full circle
Back
from
to
doing
it.
sunglasses, the cool guy thing, to like now
20
we're
years
doing
later, doing
reading
some-
glasses, coming into like
20
a
years later,
yeah,
about, right?
Yeah, just a different, you know, like coming to do a category like.
Yeah.
Reading glasses, you know, like who would have thought, like,
Yeah.
you know, but
Well,
everybody we grew up and was around, we're all hitting that point in our life now. Like,
Yeah.
everybody that I was,
we're all maturing.
We're all maturing. Our eyes are all like getting a little fuzzy there.
But you also know, like, the RX is kind of like the make or break on like a really successful. Like,
yeah, but we came in strong as reading glasses, and we've
Yeah.
evolved as an eyewear brand now. But like, we launched it, you know, doing readers. You know,
Yeah.
our whole thing was an age platform though. Like reading glasses kind of a door prize to what we're doing. Like we're really like, you know, get older, own it, see stuff. Like
Yeah.
just, you know, like trying to celebrate and inspire people that are getting older.
You found
to-
you saw a
to-
niche. You saw like opportunity.
And no one's really building a culture around eyewear brands. Like
Yeah.
they're like Warby does a great job. It's a safe product, like good customer service. Like they make a fine product, but like they don't make you feel anyway. Like you don't get
Yeah.
any like, you know. And same with iBobs and just any of the kind of eyewear brands. Are like, let's take what we know we've grown up doing our whole lives as far as marketing and disrupting and actually creating a culture and a feeling and you know, trying to inspire people about getting older instead of just getting older. So it's been super fun. I got Lisa Anderson on the program and Donovan,
love it.
Taylor Steele, like, you know,
So
just
cool.
bringing back the whole ambassador program ship around reading glasses, and we've been having so much fun with it.
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with the name?
It was first we were gonna call it like my partner Tim Parr, who's who I did the bike thing with back at Arnette.
Yeah.
And then they were disrupting the bike market. He's the one that kind of
You did the cargos and
2015. He saw me July. He's like, "Hey, I got an idea. Let's do this." Like, it was his idea. Like, "Hey, let's do readers." I'm like, "I'm in. I got time. Let's go." Like,
Yeah.
I'm in between things anyways. Like, so he originally was calling it Codburn because he just wanted some, you know, name that was just kind of
not trademark, but off the
just
off
kind
the-
of
off the tongue.
Like it took a little while, but we like me and the other four partners like we can't call it that. We're getting the feedback out there. We haven't launched yet. We can't call it that. And
What was it? Codburn?
yeah. So we had all these names written down, and his daughter's middle name is Caddis, and I just love that DDI like cat like a cat. You know, it's
Yeah.
got a good flow and sound. I'm like, it's gotta be Caddis. Let's go Caddis, and all you know. We had one. So it's so funny when you're a new startup, like you have these little calls that mean that you feel like nothing and are so no brainer, but like there's so much they set you on your path. Like it was just literally a half-hour call. We're like, okay, here's the name. Yeah, let's call Caddis. Like, you know, and
Yeah.
your daughter's middle name. That's a great story. Like,
Yeah.
let's go with Caddis, and yeah, it's been great. You know, super good.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you come up with a concept, but, you know, the name is, you know, obviously as important as the logo and everything else about it. But sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, you go digging and somebody else owns it, or, you know, like you
Yeah.
gotta.
When did you guys start it?
We started working on it, me and Tim, and he started a few years early on the idea, but nothing was on paper or anything until like we kind of all started to come together. That was July of 15. We had our first talk, and I spent better part of 2 years, like, you know, working on the packaging and the designs and everything. And we were really like, finally we're just like, all right, put it out there, push play, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so it took us a couple years, so we didn't launch till like the end of 18, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been.
And now it's
It's
globally
doing,
distributed?
It's doing great. Yeah, it's like growing great. Like we're definitely, you know, it definitely feels like this Arnette 2.0. This one's been fun this time around because like Yeah, it's like, you know, the crew, but it's like the platform that, like, you know, aging and talking about aging and getting older, and you know, you look at all the videos on our website, it's all inspiring people to, like, you know, it's not too late, it's second acts, like, you know, just really like celebrating.
And you're selling it to the same retailers that you've done business
yes
with.
and no, which is cool about reading glasses. It's a little channel agnostic where, like, you can kind of go anywhere with it, because, you know, especially our packaging is really unique, and readers, like, you know, like, they're off the shelf, you know, like, you know, we're going more into RX and stuff online and all that, but it's been great, like home furnishing, boutique, women's boutique, huge, gift store, museum, like, you know, it's really can go a lot. Of course, we're in a few, like Hobie was one of our first action sports account. We're a few surf shops. We do great in there too, but it's really kind of you know, you're kind of, you know, even salon and nail salon and record stores, and like, it's been really fun to play in the culture around it and who we're celebrating and the people that we're celebrating.
Diversify the market.
Yeah, it's been fun to disrupt, like, the reading glass market, because it's pretty stale. Like people, like, you know, they didn't see it coming, really, like, and it's been so fun. It's like blue sky. It's like just really awesome to, like, celebrate people and give people a feeling around readers. Like the feedback we get from it, like, you know, the reading glasses tend to be an apologetic product. Like, how fast can you get them on your face and off your face? It's like, well, that's the most coveted place on your body. Like, why should you be apologizing wearing these shitty drugstore readers when you should be proud of your readers and put them on, and, like, you know, they just make you feel good about yourself. You know, and
it's true. Like, you know, you're rounder at the end of the freaking drugstore. Like, you know, like, just crap. You know, no style, no meaning, no connection. Just like
our whole thing is we're tapping into classics, you know, like classic styles, but with really good product. I mean, our product backing guys are insane. They're two ex-Oakley guys. I got Jamie Oman, who went on from worked at Oakley forever and then went on to work for Apple. He's doing all of our production. He's amazing. And then I got Steve Gensler. I don't know if you guys remember Steve Gensler, but he was at Oakley for 20 years doing all of their RX programs. So, like, the back end's, like, so solid, you know, with product. So it's been fun. Like, it's been fun just to, like, everyone we're bringing around the brand, you know, was a lot of people we grew up with. You know, I get, you know, Jeremy Jones. I got, you know, other guys are just wearing the blue light walkers that need them. You know, I'm taking care of guys that even write for other eyewear brands, but just making sure that they have good stuff to protect their eyes. You know.
And earlier we were talking about your film festival. Like, when did you start that, and what?
Well, that was kind of in that in-between time too, when you're saying yes to a lot of stuff, or just, like, you know, you're kind of being pretty entrepreneurial at the time. And my partner on the film festival, Ben Warner, had the idea in Laguna. He's like, dude, Laguna needs a film festival, like, we got to do it. I'm like, I'm in. Like, you know, and our backgrounds really complement each other. Ben Warner was at Powder and Bike Magazine and all those pubs back in the day. And I grew up more around surf, and, you know, he did Sierra Club and that, and I'm more surf, he's more outdoor. So, like, our whole idea was, like, let's have a mashup, like Coast Film Festival, where the land meets the sea, and, like, celebrate all of our adventure doc films. Not only, you know, surf always does surf here, and outdoor does outdoor, but, like, very rarely do they come together to mash up and really celebrate it all, you know? Snowboarders want to be surfers, and surfers want to go snowboarding. Like, so our whole festival is like a 5-day festival where we, you know, we look through hundreds of films, and we like curate it down to, like, the top 50, and we have a killer film festival in Laguna. It's at the Festival of the Arts. There in Laguna, where Pageant of the Masters happens. We create 3 outdoor screens, and we brought music in this year. We just changed the name from Coast Film Festival to, you know, Coast Film and Music Festival, because we're bringing music more in now. So
when does it happen?
Happens every November. It's like the second weekend every November. This year was nice.
You just missed it.
Yeah, you just missed it. It was awesome. And the online just ended too. I can't even hype the online. We do a virtual. We record all the Q&As after. We bring all the, you know, our whole thing is, if you're gonna show your film, you got to show up. You know?
For sure.
You want this. You want
the Q&A.
You want to look behind the curtain. You want to hear the stories about the films and what it took to make them. So that's kind of one of our stipulations. Your film's gonna be in the festival. Like, we really want you to show up. So we video all the Q&As, and then we repackage it and do a virtual after for like 10 days through Thanksgiving. And it's growing really well. Yeti's a huge backer of us. Like, they really believe in us. But we're growing it nicely. It's our 4th year.
I mean, Laguna's, I mean, they're no you know, slouch to hosting some sort of festival or events and stuff. And what a great, you know, like, it's your hometown, you know, and it's close. It's in between. It's close enough to be in the Mecca. Like anywhere in Southern California is good, but Laguna is a great hosting spot.
I'm looking at it as like a legacy project. Like I want to get my friends together once a year, every year, to come together and celebrate film, and especially our genre of film, which no one really pays full attention to us. There used to be X Dance at Sundance and whatnot, but it's always a sideshow. Like I wanted a festival that really celebrates our genre of filmmaking. Ever since ASR in the days went away from movie premieres and that, we've lost a little bit of that core spirit of what film means to our industry. Yeah. And so
inspirational. Whether you just appreciate the footage, or the storyline or the action. There's the music. There's so many parts, and how much better is it than watching on a big screen and with other people in great sound.
Gathering of the tribe.
Yeah, for sure.
It's about the kids too. We had that growing up. And the kids haven't had that for a while. It's like this disposable content just gets getting pushed out. They don't ever have to hype and wait, or they don't get to sit front row.
Creativity. There are some great people that do shorts and little quick clips, but
But the gathering
the
of the
cinematography
community.
and the slow-mo and the artsy side, but yet you're just mesmerized.
I'm sitting there and watching and screaming at the screen and yelling and hooting and all that stuff like we had back when we were kids, that this is our ode to give back to the next generation, the kids. John came this year, and it was so awesome. John showed up, and honestly, you could watch him move around the crowd, and all the kids, it was like a beetle walking through the crowd. And how cool, I get to get my whole community. John came, and kids were every kid went up and took a photo with him. It was so rad. Just to be able to celebrate that spirit, that's what our film festival is all about, is really just celebrating.
I really like what he's doing. Not just on the waves, but just living his life the way he wants to live it, carving out his own little niche. And it's not because he's doing it because nobody else is doing it. He's doing it because that's how he grew up. He grew up on a boat. He grew up on the North Shore. He grew up in the water. He's a waterman.
Yeah, you guys seen that newest edit? The newest edit is
so incredible.
Gravity is so good.
Yeah,
it just goes through all that. And
it's it's inspiring, and it's
Is that what you guys played?
Yeah, we played Gravity. We came out and talked about Gravity before I played. It was really cool.
And it's just you so fucking good. He is so surfing is just mind blowing.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope we could talk about this. Yeah. The Oddcast.
Oh yeah, we gotta bring it back. I did Oddcast with Aki. Basically when it started, it was I talked to Shannon North. I'm like, this is Aki. We gotta make this thing killer. And that was the one that kind of took it from 1.0 to 2.0.
Yeah.
And we still have 10 in the bag that haven't been released. So we gotta nudge Evan. Evan, if you're listening, we gotta do some more Outcasts. We got 10 in the bag. We gotta get out there. I got Pot still in the bag, and Barton Lynch.
So good.
Kai Ott,
Laird.
Laird still.
Yeah, I love Barton Lynch. By the way.
Oh my god, he's such a G.
He is so just a frothing grom, but so positive and just so articulate and but funny at the same time, because he's just
the reason why I bring it up, because Billabong, Evan, Slater, if you listen to this podcast or anybody out there who can help make this come to life, because I want it super bad.
So does Aki. We're ready to go back on the road. I talked to Aki. We came over for the JS. The store opening they had down there in Oceanside, and him and Joel came over. Me and Aki were like, he's frothing just as much as I am. Let's get back on the road. Let's go get some podcasts in the back.
Dude, I am so depressed because Aki is such a funny guy,
so funny.
And the stuff that you guys have already put out there. We talked about over the weekend.
That was my thing is Aki's so good. I always challenge him at each guest that we're gonna do an activity with Aki at the end of the show, because you want Aki's so naturally raw and so amazing. You want, and it was rad. We went shark diving with Healy. I got Curran and him to go roller skating.
He's like a giant kid. He's so psyched, but he's you're super fan. We're all super fans. Not just because of surfing, but because he's freaking such a likable, cool
He's
dude.
just a little kid. He's just like a 15-year-old kid. He's so naturally raw.
The content is so much better than, because it's not like a podcast. it's a podcast, but
Yeah.
it's like way more than that.
And well, everyone wants to have a chat with Hawk. Like no one's gonna say no to
Yeah.
a podcast with Hawk.
Yeah.
Sure.
Podcast. And yeah, it was just so fun to work on. I can't wait. We'll do it again. Like we definitely do it. We talked when we were in Oceanside. I'm like,
That's
we
so
gotta
rad.
do it. So we'll bring it back. Like,
Yeah.
That's now that I'm finishing trilogy. Like that's definitely on the top of my list to get.
So is that the next project?
Yeah, trilogy. We've been spending the last two. Well, I actually started this project 4 years ago when we were gonna make Griffin's film. And we started it as Griffin's film. I went to Morocco with Joel and Nick. We started it off, and Griff got hurt on his 5th wave on that trip, and that kind of kiboshed that product. And then we went buzzsaw straight into COVID. So that Griff had to requalify because he kind of fell behind because he got injured. So then he had to requalify. So the focus that year went from making a film to like requalifying, which you did, and then we kind of went into the headwinds of COVID, and then through it. I got together with me and Taylor and Andrew McKenzie, who works at he does Aether Films, a production company. Those guys do a ton of grid aerial stuff, Aether Films, and he kind of came up with a new treatment. Let's do because it was a lot for Griff. He didn't want to shoulder the whole project. Like it's me, it's my film, me. Like Griff, he's so humble and rad. He's such a good kid that he didn't want it all to be about him. So we came up with a treatment to kind of like soften that and make it about the 3 guys. So it's
cool.
Ethan Ewing, Seth Modise, and Griffin Colpinto, those 3 guys. So kind of documenting these last 2 years, we kind of dove back into it full steam 2 years ago, and we went to Peru and absolutely scored. And then we did Tahiti, we got great waves, and then absolutely scored periscopes in Indo and Lakey Peak, and we finished off in Africa.
So it's done.
Yeah, it's in editing right now. So we're just about to go off to color. So we're shooting right now tentatively for probably premiering it hopefully between Pipe and Sunset.
Wow.
Don't hold me to that yet, but that's what we're
cool.
shooting for. It's right there. So
Is that
we're
when's
deep
Pipe
in
and
it.
Sunset?
It's January, Feb.
Yeah.
So it's
First week of Feb.
yeah, so it'll be around the 10th or 2nd.
Yeah.
There's the day right in between where I think we're shooting for, but yeah, it'd be cool to premiere it, like world premiere it over there, just as something different, and then we'll tour it. We'll do all in New York.
Yeah.
And I think we got 1 or 2 East Coast spots planned.
Nice.
So yeah, super psyched for that film to come out. It's great to do a legacy project,
Yeah.
off of doing that first trilogy with Taylor and Matt Bashane and stuff. So yeah,
So-
super excited.
So besides Caddis, you're still
Still love doing it's like just that passion side of things. I
Yeah.
don't think I'll ever leave. I'll always want to keep one iron in that, production, producing, working on films, whether they're surf or other films. Like definitely, I did another one, HBO episodic with TGR. We went with Walshy and Twiggy. We went to South Africa. We did that Edge of the Earth. That's on HBO now. It was like a 4-series part, each on a different discipline, but just love to keep the production stuff going, doing stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And what's the Laguna Festival called?
it's called Coast Film Festival. Coast. It's actually called Coast Film and Music Festival. Yeah. We just changed the name this year because we're gonna be slowly adding. We added music this year and Matt Costa play and a couple other cool bands play this year. So trying to get music added into the overall mix.
As you should.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No. I mean, the soundtrack. Half of movies are music, without actually more than half, I'd say. You have the visual, but it doesn't come to life until you put the music to it. And we actually celebrated 50 years of 5 Summer Stories, and this year with Greg McGilvery. We had Honk come.
50 years.
Yeah, 50 years. How crazy is that?
That is
I
crazy.
went to the
You went to Lido one or
Lido.
Movie Night Talk and stuff?
Yeah.
I heard that was great.
It was killer.
What we did is Greg had the idea, didn't do it anywhere on tour this year, but he had Honk come back and they played live like they did 50 years ago.
Wow.
Over the visuals.
Wow.
So you'd come out and tell a story about the song and what section it was in, and then Honk would play live. It was unbelievable. We
You
it
did
on
that at
Sunday.
your festival?
Yeah, we did it Sunday at the festival.
Wow.
It was absolutely
We
mind-blowing.
gotta get on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bummed we didn't.
You guys
know
gotta
about this.
Yeah, we should actually do some podcasts around it. Some legends. I think we're talking about right now. Sean Thompson came down on the Wednesday night. We played the movie original at Hobie.
Yeah.
And did it just a special night. And Sean came because Sean was in 5 Summer Stories. So Sean Thompson came down and he's all, we gotta do a reunion of Busting Down the Doors. It'll be 50 years next year. I'm like,
Damn.
Busting Down the Doors reunion. You just count it in. Like, you guys,
Dude.
we'll get everybody over. We'll get everybody here. We'll fly the crew over. Fly Rabbit over from Australia and MR, And
For next year.
Ian lives here already, and
And
PT's right here.
Right
Like,
here.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
frothing
you
for
guys
sure.
should do a podcast with the whole busting down the doors crew. Like that would be.
Yeah, we did PT. We're waiting to get Kanga on. He's
Yeah,
And Sean.
yeah. and
he
Sean
came.
did, for sure.
They all came on Sunday night. They were all there.
That's epic.
It was insane, but yeah. So you guys definitely got to come next year.
Dude,
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now that we know about it,
Yeah, I think you guys should do some podcasts out of it. It'd be
Well-
easy for you to set up down there. I'll get you guys rooms for the weekend, and then you guys
Well,
just stay down
that-
and do podcasts.
That'd be amazing.
say no more.
Maybe love it, dude. I mean, it's, yeah. You guys could have got John this year, and then
Yeah.
we actually played Doggy Door, but Mason and Sheldon they just they ended up just like piping,
Yeah.
like we streamed them in from Hawaii, but it was insane. The
That's
first time we
epic.
did that, like,
We had Joe on Alani.
yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys are great.
Yeah, and we're down to promote too and do a pot ramp up before
Yeah.
maybe we do ticket giveaways or some sort of
Yeah.
VIP
It
or
would be cool to you guys get ahead of it. We'll know what movies we're
You know?
picking, especially in the surf genre. We'll
Yeah.
know what movies, and then we'll just we could do a lead in where you guys are
That'd be
interviewing some of
epic.
the people that the films that are coming in.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. Give people a little snapshot.
and just
That'd be
promote
awesome.
the hell out of
What are you not doing? What else is there?
it. Yeah.
No, I'm super blessed. I've had such a amazing luck. Do so much right place, right time. But like, I've just been really lucky to be surrounded by so many cool people and have worked with so many many
Yeah.
great people along the way. But just lucky enough to do Arnette, to Billabong, to Fox, and then Caddis. Yeah, I'm so happy now. Like Caddis is really doing well. I work with so many amazing people there, and really excited what that's.
Where's the offices? Do you have offices here? Or remote?
Funny enough, like we
Utah?
before COVID, we're gonna be a remote company. We're gonna prove it can happen. And like when COVID hit, we're like,
Yeah.
we were already set up. Like so we're not doing anything different than we weren't. Like
That's
it was
rad.
so weird. Like when the COVID, everyone was like kind of like freaking out on their new deal. Like we were already operating that way. Like almost 2 years going into that. So when COVID hit, we were already all where we were. We're just about hiring the right people. They're doing the right things.
Yeah.
We established it that way and let people live where they're gonna live as long as they do a really good job. And
Yeah.
we've been lucky enough to like hire really, really qualified and amazing people in every different discipline
Yeah.
within the company. It's fun being there because the person next to you knows what they know so much better than you do, and
Yeah.
vice versa. And it's great to feed off that energy. And
It's kind
Be
of
around
crazy what COVID has taught us as
Yeah.
far as like, work can be done remotely.
yeah,
Yeah, you still need to get, the team under one roof, but it doesn't necessarily have to be every day.
It
No.
depends on the
it,
product and the brand and the people, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
It-
But I mean,
It
like,
can't live without the traditional structure.
yeah.
eight hours a day in an
Yeah.
office doesn't translate to 8 hours a day of work.
It's
No.
true. It's
Right.
true. So there is some efficiency to it, but we just had our first ever offsite with Caddis. We went to Utah, and you realize how important human
Yeah.
connection and interaction is, and it was really rad. Like I was stoked. I mean, I worked with my right hand girl Yuri. I worked with her since 2019, and we've never in the same room together.
So
That is so wild. I met her sitting at the bar in Denver for the first time in real life.
Yeah. So
well, this
crazy.
isn't right. Like we need to like interact more, like
Yeah.
person to person. But it's crazy how you just feel like you know them, though. Like
Yeah.
you feel like you know how that world can. You can create a relationship, but like there is
Yeah.
something about the human connection that's so important, and that still needs to happen.
Well, you could just save the budget and go do more cool things.
Yeah, that's our whole plan. Is like
Yeah.
let's save like
You know?
having our big office and being all in place, but like our offsites, bring back that whole Arnette.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
get some
Philosophy.
important questions.
Yeah.
Board Riders Club.
Yeah,
Are you in your Board Riders Club? Do you surf for a Board Riders Club?
I'm a lost sheep. I grew up in San Clemente.
Live in the
I
lagoon.
live in Laguna, but I surf creek. So like, where do I just?
Where do you go? Data
I-
Point?
I would.
Laguna?
I mean, I surf creek so much and so long so far. Like, I feel like probably at this point, like that would make the most sense. But like, I'm just on that cusp. Like, you look at each of those places. Like that 50 or I'm just turned 50. So that 50-year-old division, like, it's gnarly. Like,
It's
I'm
probably
right
the
on the
heaviest-
edge. I gotta surf, I think, till 60 before I finally get invited.
So
to
there's
start
3
surfing.
different clubs that would be
Yeah.
your club.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like a lost sheep, so like I
Yeah.
just don't have a home. You know
That's
what I mean?
so
Like,
funny.
you
And
know,
all the clubs are gnarly.
they are
Yeah.
all 3 of those are gnarly.
Yeah.
And like to be on Laguna stuff, you have to be born there.
Yeah.
I know where I sit in the lineup at Brook Street. Like I'm definitely 5th in the lineup, if
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
Mongo and Sly Dog and Frogger and Brandy and
Yeah.
Hans, those guys deserve. They deserve their spot in the lineup.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so I am a little bit lost sheep. I would love to surf the board riders. I hope one day maybe I'll get an invite if someone's or they're all on a snow trip or something.
Hey, you get us,
Pick your club first.
I'm in Knoxville. No, yeah. I think I'd have to probably. I don't know. I'm torn between Laguna and Dana Point because I do Surf Creek every day.
You do North LA or North LA? What does Thousand Oaks fall into?
Yeah.
Northern LA Board Riders Club. Yeah.
So I'll go surf with Lipman. Yeah, me and Lipman would be on the team. That's Malibu team though, right?
What boards are you riding?
Pretty much been pretty dedicated to Cole. Like
Nice.
Cole, I love he shapes this wrecking ball. I love it's like this 5'3" little fishy thing that I surf at Creek a lot. And then for my 50th, I had Tyler shooting in mid-length. So
Epic.
I've been surfing Tidewater in mid-length that I've actually loved. I've taken all over the world and been loving it. It's been really fun. But my go-to shortboard, pretty much that wrecking ball.
Yeah.
By Cole. Yeah.
That's cool.
Super fun.
5'3"?
5'3", dude.
Is it a 2+1 setup?
2+1 setup.
Nice.
Still like 29 liters, so it's got all the literage, but like, it goes good there because much point, dude. Like you need something.
You need something zippy,
flat and zippy.
I mean, at this age, I just want to go fast.
Same. I'm not windshield wiping anymore. I'm not going 12 o'clock, or blowing the tail on many turns. So I like just surf round.
I surf like 6 days this week. I can't even move.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
That's a lot for you.
Dude,
that's good.
put some time in.
That's
Okay,
good.
well, I'm hurting.
No, that's probably our last south. Hopefully not, knock on wood, but yeah.
Fuck, that was so good this last week.
Good south was good. All the soundbars were good because everything moved
Everywhere's
to the
good.
northwest and like Creek was really good all week.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think there's a
Everywhere
bad
is
beach in
good.
it.
I haven't seen orange. When you go surf line, it's like orange, like 5 spots in a row. Like
Just
you're like, what?
blowing
Like,
up.
when do you ever see that? Like,
Yeah.
so cool.
Well, shoot.
Well, yeah, hey, congrats, man.
No, thank you
Yeah.
guys. Dude, thanks for having me, guys.
We love, hearing people's stories and, we're all connected and we know people's accolades and what they've, accomplished and where they've been. And it's just really cool to share your story and everybody that we've interviewed.
I super appreciate it. It's so fun taking
Yeah.
a lap down memory lane. You forget a lot of this stuff, and how lucky we were to live through that whole era. And
Yeah.
it's cool to look back and really think about all the people that were so important. And,
Well,
Your journey is so unique and different. You could have been stuck in Thousand Oaks, but you got lucky and you moved to San Clemente.
Yeah.
And just the school of Arnette and all the hats and roles that you played there that took you to the next step of working for Billabong.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the producing of movies that's become a big part of
that was
your
all
life.
Yeah, it's always the passion side of me. So lucky to be at a company like Billabong that
embraced it.
embraced. Film was a big part of their journey. With Jack McCoy to Taylor Steele and on. So super lucky there.
And then
Starting your own somewhat or
having your own company.
Yeah.
That's the great American dream.
Yeah,
And
it takes the sum of all the parts to get you to where you are, and it's
Seriously.
definitely a lucky product of that. Where it took everything I did, all the building blocks on top of each other to have the life and the career that I have.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Well, thanks for sharing your stories, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really stoked. Awesome.
Peace.
That was rad.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good.
Oh shoot, we forgot to fucking talk about.
The sponsors. Go back.
Sponsors.
To
Oh, it's still rolling.
all right.
Well, we got to do it on the podcast.
Strider.
Mine's rolling.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Before we leave, though, we got to talk about sponsors.
I got a new
You
cat.
got a new
I got a new lid.
Late Night with Chalky Trucker,
You got a red for the lady or the kid or
Candy's
Left
gonna be
Coast.
rocking that.
Left Coast Novelties. We got you a 6-pack of Ashton Hard Seltzer.
Awesome.
mango strawberry. That looks delish.
We got
I'm a big
you
fan.
a stick of shade sunscreen.
SPF 50.
It's been
tinted
around since the
faces.
sun.
I'll put that to good use.
And then
Then we got
a couple packets of the
Yeah.
Just Live CBD.
Calm
And
gummies and energy gummies. So if you're feeling one or the other.
a couple cards. for
Bonsai.
some free bonsai
Alright.
bowls.
Yep. You got one close to you.
And I'm making Caddis for you guys' next sponsor.
Yeah. Love
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Well, hey, man. Thank you, Enich Eenz Harris.
Yeah.